Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
My thing is, what I tell guys is, I understand that you're supposed to have, a time and place where you be like, yeah, next game, this and this, but I'd much rather my guys go ahead and feel that loss. I want them to feel it, because I've been through it before. I done lost in the tournament, so I know how it feels. So,
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Get better at our rotations. We need to get better on our rotations and defense, offense, sub, and everything.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Ilford. Just Ilford, man. We got and a lot of scouting. We need to get back to our scouting and getting our switches and everything right, because right now we're not switching on the right screens. We're not, personnel's not correct. We got to just get back to it, honestly.
Have you downloaded the SicEm365 Radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play.
We're the Baylor Bears. We're going to get that right. We don't take this loss and make it think that, we're just some team. We're still one of the best teams in the country at the end of the day. And we just took a lick. We got knocked out. Now we got to get back up. Muhammad Ali did a lot.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Well, we are all back together again, just in time for the start of the NCAA tournament. Tonight, the women, of course, have their selection show. Last night, the men. Paul Catalina to my left, Craig Smoak, whose birthday is today. 37 years strong.
Yeah.
That's about how I felt when I was 37.
Yeah. It's not a great number, not a big number to celebrate really, but yeah, I'm back and thank you. It's my birthday and back from COVID, so good to be out of the house and feels weird, feels different, but good to be out.
What does the world look like outside in 2 weeks?
Well, this whatever building's up over here, like an entire building's gone up since I've been gone. This white building over here that I guess is new apartments, but that literally has all been put up like since I was last here. So I'd had to come a different way because now exits are closed that weren't closed when I was still driving here on a regular basis. So it actually, with as busy as Waco is construction-wise, it actually has changed in a couple of weeks pretty dramatically. But, just glad to be in some sunshine and be out and back to a regular routine.
Yeah, your voice sounds deeper, stronger. I know it's still got a little of that feeling. You probably had a little congestion, but it's great to have you back. Happy birthday, 37 years strong. And we were going to have a cake and all that, but Armstrong ate it.
Uh-huh.
I mean, just absolutely just flat. I left it in here early this morning.
With his hands like a 2-year-old.
Yeah, I know.
It was weird.
He thought
it was a 7-Eleven chicken or something.
Couldn't help myself.
All right, here's what we have. We have a couple of changes. One, Jerome Tang, Baylor assistant head coach, will join us today at 3:45. Jason King at 3:30. He was at the tournament. John Fanta. He is a Fox College basketball play-by-play broadcaster. He did the Big East Network Championship broadcast. And, of course, Georgetown and Patrick Ewing and company won the tournament. He'll join us today at 4. We'll have some Lady Bears comments. I want to get into Queen Egbo and her development, not just development, how much she's dominating. To me, could have been a part of that all-tournament team in Kansas City. We'll have that at 4:45. Evan Miyakawa at 5 on the analytics of the tournament. And Hartford Hawks head basketball coach John Gallagher, he'll join us today at 5:15. King McClure live with us at 5:30. Names we have already booked for the rest of the week, among others: Len Elmore, Tony Barnhart, one of the great SEC football writers ever, John Feinstein, great author, Jeremiah Dickey will join us this week, and Kyle Keller from SFA to break down the tournament. He's done that before because SFA is not going dancing. So, all right, 254-339-1122. Paul, Craig, Armstrong, Baylor is in the region. Ohio State's the number 2 seed. They got the big boy names in the second round, if in fact they advance. Your thoughts about the region that they're set up with involving, I guess it's the South region?
I think they got a fairly good draw. I mean, there's some matchup things as you go down. Like, should they get to Ohio State in the Elite Eight, I think that'll be a great game. I think If they play, I guess it would be, it's not Purdue. There's another Big Ten team in there that they could play. But, I mean,
Purdue's in there.
Yeah, Purdue. Yeah. I mean, like, there's some good matchups for them. Look, the game after Hartford, was either UNC or Wisconsin, which is a tough matchup either way you slice it. UNC, who I've seen a lot more than Wisconsin, has some big guys, and Baylor doesn't have a lot of size. This is a guard-driven team, but the good news for them is that guard-driven teams usually win in March.
Yeah, it's a tough draw. I don't worry too much about Hartford in that first game, but you never know. The 1-16, we saw that with Virginia a couple years ago, so you got to be a little bit careful there. But yeah, I mean that second round matchup, whoever that might be, North Carolina and Wisconsin, I think that's the one that people already get a little bit nervous about, and they go, uh-oh, like that's two teams with some pedigree in the NCAA tournament. And that are both pretty good, and as Paul said, are good down low. And that's not an area where Baylor, especially lately, has been very good. So, that weakness that you may have could be exposed quite early on. But I think, you get past that second-round game potentially, which would be a win over a North Carolina or Wisconsin. And, there's Villanova. Could be tough. Purdue could be tough, but
could be Grant McCaslin, the former Baylor assistant coach, if they go Cinderella crazy.
Yeah, I mean they'd have to go pretty crazy. They'd have to beat Purdue and Villanova most likely. But I mean, maybe you face Grant McCaslin, and that bottom half of the bracket I don't worry as much about. But that top half, those first, that second round, third round game, that's going to be really, really tough, man. They have no easy route, that's for sure.
You know what Purdue is? Purdue's basically in Indianapolis. I mean, Lafayette. They're
Close.
not that far from there. And we'll talk tomorrow with, oh my goodness, David Brooks, who writes for the Indianapolis Stars. He's covered Butler over the years. He was in Waco last year when Baylor beat Butler here. He'll join us and just kind of set up the scene, the atmosphere around Indianapolis with all the various coliseums and arenas. And, of course, Lucas Oil Football Stadium, which will host the Final Four as well. Now, anything happened that I thought that this, and of course we mentioned Grant McCaslin, in the same region as Paul Mills and Oral Roberts. We had him on a couple of times in the last week. Was this one of the less drama-filled bracket releases when it comes to like 3, 4, 5 teams that like, oh my God, what about us? There was maybe one or two, but it wasn't like, I didn't see, it's almost like they got this thing right. Now, whether they got the seeds right remains to be seen, but I thought it was pretty drama-free.
I think so. I think getting the seat, like, everybody likes to crap on committees. When the committee picks the college football playoff or whatever, the committee did this wrong and that wrong. When you look at some teams that are 15-9 and a normal season might have been, 20-9 or something, or might have slightly better records because they, wouldn't have had to deal with a bunch of people getting sick or stopping and starting. It's hard to gauge, like, just take, San Diego State. They won a bunch of games in a row. Are they really that good? Or who have they played? Who have they gotten to play? Who did they not get to play because of COVID? All these things. How do you assess somebody's schedule? I thought about it so say Gonzaga had lost a couple games. I mean, they're undefeated and they've rolled through their schedule, but they haven't played anybody in 2 months. In a normal season, that would hurt them. But right now, I mean, who can you say? How are they not the best team?
I wish we could have seen about 7 or 8 other non-conference games happen, even like a San Diego State, and I don't even know who was on their schedule. Let's say they were supposed to play Villanova. Or let's say that Wichita State, who slipped in, and a lot of people are like, whoa, let's say they were going to play whoever. The Gonzaga-Baylor game, obviously, Villanova-Baylor, obviously, and a couple of others. It would have been nice, but it didn't happen.
Baylor played like a week and a half stretch, probably 2 or 3 times that was tougher than the entire season that Gonzaga played. And I'm not trying to Gonzaga could beat Baylor by 30 for all I know. I'm not trying to say that they're not worthy, but yeah, as far as seeing them in action, they didn't play anybody. And it's not all their fault. Obviously, the Baylor-Gonzaga game was canceled, but I'm with you because, just the stretch Baylor went on the last week. You play 3 top 25 teams, then you turn around and go to the tournament. You play a K-State team that's not that impressive, but they gave you a run. And then Oklahoma State, who's maybe the hottest team in the country right now. And so they played 4 teams in a week and a half that are better than anybody Gonzaga's probably played in the last 3 months. Well, it's kind of crazy.
They did play Kansas. They played Auburn. Baylor's played them. And they played West Virginia. And they did win those 3 right off the bat. Those were the 3 games they played. They did beat
5 months
Iowa.
Ago.
And that was in December. But other than that, you're right. Virginia, they played them. That was a game that was makeup for not playing Baylor. That game was put together at the last second. But you're right. Since that time, it's been pretty much, other than the Brigham Young game, they have coasted throughout. And they're really good. I mean, they're really fun to watch, and they're very, very good. And sometimes their scoring overshadows what they do defensively, and sometimes their half-court defense. Guillorme Tang today at 3:45, right before they board their flight to Indianapolis. So a lot to get to. Lady Bears will be a number 2 seed most likely tonight. They've rolled through their last 17 or 18 games, win another double-double, kind of like a big hamburger. Only the one year when West Virginia beat them in the tournament in Oklahoma City have they not won both the regular season and the conference championship.
Well, and West Virginia had the,
they
were out of their mind.
Tyrese Martin, I looked her up because I was like, whatever happened to her? And she was gone. She's in the WNBA now. But she never really, after that freshman year, when she looked dynamic and was, it's just like she never did after that develop, although she's playing at the pro level. All right, Gonzaga and Baylor are the top 2 picks by Vegas. So even with the loss to Oklahoma State, which I could kind of sense coming, and I think we all could look at that game, especially when they took the 8-point lead. Okay, this is pretty much what they do. Now they'll put the chokehold on. But Gonzaga and Baylor are still the favorites to win the whole thing. And, of course, as the number 1 and number 2 overall seeds, they should be. So no one seems to be backing off of Baylor after their losses to Kansas and Oklahoma State. Would you?
I am a little bit, yeah. I am a little bit. I don't like what I've seen here lately as far as shot making has been really off. Down low, they've been getting exposed a little bit, a lot of turnovers. It's really weird, too, because the thought that keeps crossing my mind is when they came back, they didn't look good against Iowa State, and then they got beat by Kansas, and everybody was asking, like, well, when are they going to get back to form? And then they were. And then they were back to form, and then they win 3 straight top 25 games, and then like a little bit of a break, and they come back and they look like the team that had just come off quarantine, kind of.
Kansas State was almost Iowa State.
Yeah, it was like they came back, needed some time, got into a rhythm, and then like 3 days later they were back into like the Iowa State mode. And I don't know what happened there. I
do. I think Mark Vidal might allude to that in the post game.
Okay.
I'm not saying that's what happened.
Well,
but
okay,
I'll tell you what gives me. What gives me a little faith. Armstrong, do you have the SD normal practice?
Yes. This is also key from yesterday's media session.
Yeah, this is from yesterday's media session about what's been different the last 3 weeks, and it's one of those things that I'm not a basketball coach or player, so I didn't think about this. But when you really step back and think about what Scott Drew is saying here, when they came back to play, they didn't have any of those.
That's all they did.
All they did was play games and do game prep. Yeah. So you didn't do those things. Kind of like we always say with high school teams or football teams on the bye week, like you can work on special teams, you can work on these things because you're not worrying about an opponent. Well, here's Scott Drew kind of illuminating that in yesterday's media session.
Well, we were able to practice today. We had a good practice today, so excited about that. Hopefully we get in a good one tomorrow before we leave. And really, when we were just analyzing since coming back from the pause, in 14 days, basically playing 6 games, I think traveling 3,500 miles, I think 9 to 14 days on the road. I mean, these guys in beating a number of top 25 teams have been able to achieve a lot and done a great job. So it was good today to just have a normal practice day for once.
So you think about it, it's almost when they had the pause, they didn't do anything basically other than some individual workout for 20 games. Then they practiced and then they played 2 days later, and that was almost a disaster. So they've been in this routine. And I got to tell you, back in January when they lost that game to Iowa State, Lady Bears head coach Kim Mulkey kind of referred to this. They started playing, but they weren't on the court. They weren't in practice mode where you can get things done. It's not just scouting reports. It's actually going through some of the things that are fundamentals of practice, and also just being together without any other game to be played immediately within the next 24 to 48 hours. So does that help a little bit with what he said?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. But, yeah, I was just curious about that because, you thought after they – beat West Virginia, that everything was fine, that everything was going to be just back to normal, and it actually went downhill after that in a way. And look, I give these guys a lot of credit. I just came off of COVID, been cooped up for like 2 weeks, and I'm exhausted, and I haven't done anything. Like the everybody has the virus differently, but like my energy is so zapped, even though I haven't done anything. Like I've been resting basically. So I can't even imagine and I know everybody's got different outcomes, but I'm sure there's some guys struggling just with the grind of the season in general and then dealing with the pauses and in some of their cases having it. I give them a lot of credit, man. I really do.
Daniel Acton, they looked exhausted. They need some routine, some rest. Scotty B, as for me, I think the second-round game could be tricky. However, after that, I like us to the Elite Eight when competition racks up. I expect to be in the Final Four of the National Championship game. All right, now here's Mark Vital. Paul, which is the one? There's a couple we doubled down. One of them that I thought was the most eye-opening, and let me see here. I know you gave this to me, and I have it right. Possibly, it's right here. I think it's over here. Mark Vital was saying he wanted his team to feel how they felt right now, right? You have that?
Feel that loss.
I think it's the longer one. I believe that's here, Armstrong.
My thing is, what I tell guys is, I understand that you're supposed to have, a time and place where you be like, yeah, next game, this and this, but I'd much rather my guys go ahead and feel that loss. I want them to feel it, because I've been through it before. I done lost in the tournament, so I know how it feels. So I want my guys to feel that loss and have their edge going into the next game. Like right now, in the locker room, everybody just think about what they could have done. A lot of frustration, everything. So that's what we need. We need that. And then we watch film, we do everything. And by the time the tournament starts, man, we be in good spirits and we ready to go.
Now, Paul, which one of these, and I listened to him like twice, but the one he talks about how they felt like they were the champions, which they were, and maybe that kind of
then he says he said it early. I mean, I don't know if I can't remember what sequence they're in because I chopped up, but he also said that they needed that loss.
Yeah, here's the one with Mark Vital, and I don't know if I always agree with that. That's kind of after the thought, but because you don't go into a game, hey, we need to lose this game unless you're like tanking. Here's Mark Vital on needing what happened to them Friday when Oklahoma State wore them out in the last 5-6 minutes of the game.
I'm going to be honest with you, man. We I don't want to say it like this, but we needed that loss in a way. I mean, everybody says that, but we do. Because we came here with the mindset that we was already champions from Big 12, and we had to change our mindset until, getting back hungry. And going into the tournament, now that we've been thrown, you know what I'm saying, like, we got to go up in there with energy. We got a chip on our shoulder. Like, we got to come back from a loss. Yeah. We got to finish games also. We got to learn how to finish games.
Well, there's exactly what I was mentioning, and that's Mark Vital. Now, here's one when I ask him about he as the leader of this team. There's a lot of guys with a lot of experience. This was after Friday's loss to Oklahoma State when they had an 8-point lead with 7-something left, and they just normally would just step on someone's neck, and they couldn't do it. Cade Cunningham's had something to do with that as well. But here's my question for Mark after the game about what role does he take on now?
Final question from David Smoak with Sic'Em365.
Mark is a guy that really, this is your team. I know there's a lot of other guys who've played a lot of games, but this is your program in a lot of ways. How much is on your shoulders now, as you mentioned, to get these guys refocused, not lose confidence, and understand what's in front of them now?
Like I said, man, I'll take always all the blame, always, because a couple of those rebounds, if I would have stayed in the game longer and not call myself out, I feel like we could have got a bigger lead. And I just go back and go through plays and plays. Like I did an up and under, and I missed the layup. And I just go through that. And I had one where I had a tip-out rebound. And I had one with Avery Johnson. Avery drove right, and he got to his spot, got an N1 foul, and I let him go middle. Like, it's a lot of stuff that's on my shoulders that's going to eat me just like a lot of guys. And but I put the blame on me because I'm the captain of this team. And then going into, the tournament and everything, I'm going to have to shift that energy. But right now, I need my guys to feel this loss. And like they're taking it well right now. I mean, your mom always tell you, man, you got to go ahead and get up. If you fall down, you got to get up. So
he mentioned Muhammad Ali got up a few times, and he did, especially when he got beat by Frazier in 71 and took a few. He never got knocked out, I don't think, after that. But you get the point. You got to just keep coming back.
Yeah, but Gonzaga didn't need a loss. I don't think anybody else. But I know what he's saying. Like maybe kind of reset a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, if they needed it, I'm glad they got out of the way because the next one, you're done.
You know who needed the shock to their system is the guys on the bench.
Yeah,
the guys on the bench have been playing really, really well all season long. And then the last, week, especially in the Big 12 tournament, They didn't get anything from their bench.
Mm-hmm. No, and Jason King, who will join us here momentarily, that is one of the things he has brought up over and over and over again since even before the game on Friday, since even Kansas State, that they have to get contributions. Matthew Meyer, who was phenomenal in helping them somehow win that game in Morgantown against West Virginia, and then he was really, really good again. He's now had about 2 or 3 games where all of a sudden things have changed a little bit, and they need him. I mean, but Adam Flagler, not to pop on a kid, he's a college kid, but Adam Flagler looks like he has no confidence.
Well, at least I was pleased to see him, in spite of shooting, no shots against Kansas State, right? He didn't take a shot against Kansas State. He came out against Oklahoma State and was shooting the ball, because shooters got to shoot. I do think sometimes you can get that, Josh Hamilton, I'm going to swing my way out of this slump deal, which always doesn't work. But I did like to see him shoot. He just needs him to fall. And sometimes they'll okay, I need to take shots. Well, you don't need to take every shot.
Are they, and someone came, not back at me, but when I started mentioning a couple of things, they were 6 of 28 from shooting threes. They're the number one three-point shooting team in the country.
Well, yeah, to me, that's more of that's a mathematical outlier. Yeah.
But
right now it stands as a
mathematical
outlier.
Are they a live by the three, die by the three? Because what if they do that against Hartford? What if they do that against whoever they play next?
Well,
I know they can overcome some of that, but they need something inside, some easy buckets inside.
As a person who knows statistics and math very well, that's what I'm like, Smokey.
Yeah.
I can say that right now it stands as a statistical outlier. And everybody who knows that if you like statistics, you have trouble saying the actual word. But as it stands as an outlier, but if it continues, then it's no longer an outlier. It's a trend.
Well, they have another one of those nights. At any point in the next 3 weeks or however long they play, they're done. Because they're getting nothing offensively from Thamba. They're getting, and although I know he's a phenomenal teammate and he gives them 5 fouls and he also can give them some size inside, they're getting really not much at all. When was the last time you remember Jonathan Chamwachachua, who had kind of the setback, going down coast to coast and having, there's been a couple of alley-oops, and they're, other than Butler and Teague and Mitchell driving to get buckets, layups, there's nothing. And we're not criticizing. We're just, this is truth serum.
5, 6, 7, 8 players in the rotation have not been the same lately. The top 4 are the top 4. Hey, and they're always going to be.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, now, so they play Hartford. Who are they? Well, we're going to talk to their head coach, John Gallagher. I reached out to their sports information director, media communications, and she was able to get back to me very quickly. He'll join us by Skype, in fact, or some Zoom, right? The Zoom today at 5:15, and right after that, we'll be able to hear from King McClure. He'll join us today on Monday. Looking forward, Len Elmore is one of the elite broadcasters in college basketball. He's in that same level of a Jay Billis among a couple of others. He's going to join us tomorrow at 4. Clark Kellogg will join us next week, no matter what happens this first week. And, of course, he's a part of that same group as well.
He's good friends with King McClure.
Yeah, in fact, King's alluded to him, helping him quite a bit. Now, Trey, as a football note, Trey Wisner, they had the Under Armour camp up in Arlington. Our very own Grayson Grundhafer and Brian Etheridge were both there, and they put up all sorts of stories. And, they covered that camp. First of all, it was great to have a camp. That's the first time, as we mentioned on Friday, Grayson said, first time there's been a camp like it's Oklahoma or wherever in a year.
And apparently the dead period might actually, I don't know, I saw rumors that maybe the dead period actually does come to a close at the end of May, whenever the next date is set, that instead of rolling it over like they have for the entire last year over and over again, that they might actually end the dead period, and we'd actually see some visits taking place this summer.
That would be huge for not only the teams, coaches, programs, but also for the players. They haven't been able to get in front of anybody. And Trey Wisner was the offensive MVP of that camp from Connolly, who, of course, has offers. Florida State was the first, and then everybody else, but maybe Alabama and a couple of others. Ohio State was like 2 or 3. Yeah, there's also others. Baylor. Everyone you can imagine has offered Trey Wisner from Connolly. He was the Under Armour running back MVP in that camp up in Arlington.
And only going to be a junior next year.
He's only a junior.
It's not like he's getting ready to go play his last year at Connolly. He's got 2 years left.
And we have Connolly football, Midway and Connolly football here on SicEm365 Radio. All right, so Paul, of the Final Four, of the 4 seeds, Gonzaga, Baylor, Illinois, and they're playing great too. Mm-hmm. And then who's another team Baylor beat, and that was earlier in the year, and Michigan. If you were to go 1, 2, 3, and 4, least likely to get to the Final Four, who would it be?
I would say least likely would be Michigan. One of their best players is out.
Yeah.
And, I mean, at the absolute wrong time. And not just at, like, it's not akin to Jared Butler being out, but it's maybe akin to Maceo Teague being out for them. I mean, by comparison. And they've got tough matchups in there. I mean, everybody does, but,
I thought Maceo might have been their best player the last week of the season. But I know what you mean.
Yeah, not having Lively, that's his name, not being there, that's going to be tough for Michigan. I still think they're really good, but also you just saw what happened. Ohio State and Illinois kind of handled them a little bit in the Big 12 tournament, or Ohio State did, and they, Illinois is the hottest team coming out of that league right now as it stands. So, yeah, I would say Michigan, and based on the way they're playing right now, Baylor, Illinois, and Gonzaga in that order.
All right. A lot of love, of course, for Illinois, and they should. They're playing great. They've won some tight games in that Big Ten tournament. Of course, the Big Ten is incredibly deep. Big 12 had 7 of the 10 teams get in. Texas, hey, they're playing well. A lot of times you see Texas do anything in football, or people jump immediately. They over-exaggerate. No, they're playing really well, and the reason why they're dangerous, they have guards. Those dudes inside are playing at a really nice level. They're getting much more from Kai Jones has been fantastic. Obviously, a couple of others, but Greg Brown was good in that game after a couple of bad moments from him last week. They're really dangerous, too. Alabama's in that same region. So, we'll see what happens. Here's one more, and I forgot to bring this up, and thank you to the 214. What's going on with Jared Butler in foul trouble the last 5 or 6 games? Because that has become an issue. We'll talk to Jason King about that.
I don't worry about the foul trouble with him. I think he's just trying to make up. I mean, he's just being a little aggressive to make up for maybe some other things defensively that aren't happening. I don't want to see Jared Butler inside blocking shots. It was great. He had one. I remember he had one in the game against maybe Kansas. He had one early against in a moment. I don't want him in there. Even if he can be. That's where you have Chachua and also Chama Chachua and Thamba and Mark Vital. Yeah, right. I'm never going to begrudge somebody for being aggressive. I mean, maybe he just needs to be a little smarter.
I understand an aggressive penalty is a good penalty at times, but I'm talking about Jared Butler is the one having to make the block shots. That's my concern.
He can't have 2 fouls in like the first 10 minutes of the game. No. I mean, they're just screwed if that happens.
And that happened. And it's happened a handful of times. And, of course, fouled out against West Virginia, and they were good enough to overcome that. All right, we want to hear from you, and thanks to the 214. Thanks to Daniel, Scotty B, and also the 325-254-339-1122. Jason King and Jerome Tang, back-to-back. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco. I'm going to keep on bragging on their drive-thru. You just drive up to the drive-thru. You ask them if they know it off the top. Sometimes they just have to lean and look and see if it's still in stock, but they know without even looking, hey, do you have this in stock? Yeah, boom, and it's in your hand. Like that. Knowledgeable staff that can point you in the direction, whether it's wine, spirits, beer, whatever you need, they can point you in that right direction. If you're a craft beer fan, then you got to go in that walk-in fridge. Walk around and look at it. Rotate it out seasonally. The variety that they have, they are on top of it. No matter what, no matter when, believe me, you're going to be impressed with the selection of craft beer they have at Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street, a hidden gem in Waco. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Qualified buyer, see dealer for details. The anniversary sales event is happening now at Richard Carr. 22 years in Central Texas is worth celebrating with big savings on all cars and trucks. Savings like $3,500 off a 2021 Buick Envision or Buick Encore GX. Save $6,000 off a 2021 Buick Enclave. Save $6,500 off a 2021 GMC Train or GMC Acadia. Come by for prize giveaways and deep anniversary discounts on every car or truck on the lot. It's the anniversary sales event going on now at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
At
Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Jason King of SicEm365.
We will hear from Jason King momentarily. We are in studio. We started the show off saying it was great to have everybody with us. And Paul's trying to contact right now Jason King, and then we'll have Guillorme Tang, and Craig will join us in a moment as well. Armstrong Sims running the mothership, SicEm365 Radio. And boy, a couple of you have texted us who have not until recently heard about what we're doing. Man, it's great to have you. We appreciate you very much. Ryan, in fact, this is Ryan's text to us. Love the show. I can't believe I have not been tuning in more. I'm a moron. No, you're not. Well, maybe. No one covers the Bears better. Thanks for all you do. And also the 682. In addition to concerns mentioned on the show today about Baylor's inconsistency of late, we now have rumors floating around. Okay, Jason in Fort Worth about Scott Drew in Indiana. Take a deep breath. Not going anywhere. No one's told me that. Scott Drew hasn't told me that. Mac Rhodes hasn't told me that. Why would he go to Indiana? I know he used to be at Valpo. I know that's kind of home, right? Right now, Indiana is kind of messed up. He did take over the ultimate messed up in Baylor back in 2003. I'm telling you right now. And that's why administration, not to put pressure on anybody, but that's why this field house has to get moving. Because Scott Drew, Kim Mulkey, and them, what they've done, Mulkey for much longer, and now Scott Drew the last 10 years or so, they have done and earned that right now, the field house. So All right, so that's thank you for the question, though, Jason in Fort Worth. But I'm telling you right now, take a deep breath on Scott Drew. He's got the perfect situation where he is, very similar to Kim and the Lady Bears.
Well, let's ask our guest that.
Yeah, Jason King, I saw him, in fact. Jason King joins us, SicEm365.com and thefieldofsixty8.com. I know it's lazy, but I understand why. When Indiana opens up, and this has even started about 2 or 3 weeks ago with some of the national writers about Scott. Jason, Scott Drew's not going anywhere. In my opinion, I know that's what you think as well, correct?
That's what I think. And, if you tell that to a national media member or just someone that's not really close to the program, the knee-jerk reaction is, oh, why would you stay at Baylor for Indiana? I mean, it's frustrating to hear that because I just don't think I still don't think people realize just what a good situation Baylor has become. It's, a perennial top 10, top 20 team now. He's got a brand new arena on the way. He's got a top 5 recruiting class coming in. He's obviously a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, probably would have been last year as well. There's just so much momentum going on right now and so many reasons that, you want to be here so you can put the icing on the cake, in terms of what you built, whether it's winning a national championship, opening a new arena, those things. They're set up right now for a nice long stretch of success, and they've already had one. So I can't fathom why anyone would want to leave this situation right now, especially to take over a situation that's a mess.
I've told it to a couple of people this way. Look, this is Scott Drew's program. So when Scott Drew leaves here, whoever comes and takes his place is taking over Scott Drew's program. Scott Drew would never be able to say that about Indiana. That's still, for all intents and purposes, Bobby Knight's program, and there's been 3 or 4 coaches since him.
Yeah, he could go there and do great things, and it could become his program one day, I guess. I remember people said the same thing to Bill Self when he took over at Kansas. Why would you want to replace Roy Williams, this legend? And he certainly did a great job. But again, that was a situation where you had a coach walking into Kansas had just played for the national title game. Why would Scott Drew want to go do another rebuild right now when he's got a top 5 program, a top 10 program, right now? With no signs of it slowing down. I got to think that they'll, if it comes to money, they'll pay him what he wants, and they'll name the court after him. They'll or the arena or at some point. Maybe not in the next couple of years, but one day. He could go into the Hall of Fame, because of what he did at Baylor. I just don't see why you'd want to leave. I don't, everyone's like, what job would he leave for? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know why he'd want to leave for anything, to be honest. I'm just telling you, I think the days of coaches just hopscotching around are slowing down. I think you've seen so many good coaches leave a program to go with supposedly a better job, and they struggled and they're out of work. I think the whole grass is always greener. Don't mess with happy, those cliches. I think they're holding true more and more these days.
So, Jason, the South region, Baylor, the number 1 seed, will face 16 seed Hartford, and then possibly North Carolina or Wisconsin in the round of 32. Just taking a look at that side of the region, what were your first thoughts on who the Bears might be facing, who they will be facing, and who they'll likely be facing?
Yeah, I think it's tough. But, they're all tough in some way or another. Every now and then you look at a team and say, oh, they got an easy path. But, for the most part, there's always going to be some situations where you think, oh, my team got screwed or whatever. But Baylor, I think if they get past Hartford, which they should, they have a big, tough second-round opponent, no matter if it's North Carolina or Wisconsin. I don't care what year it is or who's down or who's up. Anytime you're going against the Hall of Fame coach with 3 national titles on his resume, and like Roy Williams has, that's a huge challenge. And North Carolina is a big, strong team. Baylor doesn't have a lot of size. North Carolina is a great offensive rebounding team. That'd be a hard game to win. Wisconsin's had a down year, not a lot of quality wins for them in the last month or so. But, I think their coach is very good. He was the lead assistant on the Wisconsin staff, 5 or 6 years ago in the Sweet 16 when I thought Wisconsin kind of surgically picked apart Baylor out there in Anaheim. I was at that game, and they did a great job scouting and preparing for Baylor. So it's a well-coached team. So, that second-round game is going to be a bear. And if they get past that, you're looking at maybe Purdue or someone in the Sweet 16. There's good teams all the way through this thing. So they don't have an easy road, no question. But, if they're clearly a level ahead, them and Gonzaga and Illinois, and maybe Michigan and ahead of everyone else, like we've said all year long, then they should at least get to the Sweet 16 or Elite 8 and hopefully the Final Four or anything less. I think would be a disappointment.
Jason, the game against Oklahoma State, I didn't feel good about them running the table in Kansas City. I don't know why, just me.
Mm-hmm.
But the bench has really kind of suffered. The inside post play has not been as dynamic inside on defense, and there's not much at all. They never were much offensively, but still not much at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jared Butler's getting in foul trouble because, and a lot of it is he's trying to make plays inside on defense, blocking shots or whatever, because I think somebody has to. Can that all be corrected between now and Friday?
I hope so. I mean, Butler definitely has to play smarter. It seems like so many times in games, 6 or 7 minutes into the game, he's got 2 fouls, and then you have to sit him, and then they bring him back in with 3 or 4 minutes left, and then you're just praying that he doesn't get foul number 3. So that's I think that's kind of been a problem for him for a couple of years, and certainly magnified lately. But the defense to me is a bigger concern, and I just feel like they're out of position a lot and getting beat. I don't know if it's a effort thing. I just think there might be a step low or just a step off, and that to me, in more than any area, I think that's the problem they're really trying to focus on this week in practices and trying to correct and trying to get back to their old selves. I remember a couple of commentators, said Baylor early in the year were saying Baylor plays the best team defense of anyone in the country, and that was when they were talking about just their rotations and things like that. So hopefully that gets corrected. But I think the other issue is the bench. I mean, to me, the thing that made this team, that took this team from a 9 to a 10, I guess you could say, is having an Adam Flagler or a Matt Meyer or JTT come off the bench. I mean, when they beat Illinois, I think Adam Flagler had like 19 points in that game. He was averaging double figures halfway through the season, and I don't understand what's happened. He had 22 against Iowa State in the very first game back from the COVID pause, and everyone's like, all right, he's on fire. He hadn't scored more than, I think, 5 points in a game since then, and I don't get it. One game against Kansas State there, and he played 20 minutes and didn't even attempt a shot. So I think for them to really kind of get back to who they are or the level that they were at, getting him back on track is a key thing, and also Meyer. He's just too erratic all of a sudden, and I don't think the coaches trust him, and at least they haven't in the last few games, so he's got to get back as well. And JTT too. It's all of them. They're just not getting much production at all from those guys, other than just minutes to give the starters a breather.
Jason, thank you.
You got 4 guys. You got 4 guys carrying the team right now, and it needs to be 7. That's how it was earlier, and they got to get back to it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's Jason King. He'll be helping us with his coverage, of course, as good as it is when it comes to writing and columnist work and also analyst work covering Baylor, but also the entire tournament. He'll be in Indianapolis with us, and also we'll have coverage from San Antonio. The women find out tonight where they're going. They'll be in San Antonio. Where they're going, San Antonio, and all the men are going to Indianapolis. Looking forward to talking earlier tomorrow to David Brooks from the Indianapolis Star. He is there. He's covered Butler for years. He's there in Indianapolis. He's going to give us kind of an atmosphere overlook of all the stadiums and arenas. When we come back, Baylor assistant head coach Guillorme Tang, they're about to take the flight to Indy. He's next on SicEm365 Radio. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now. Order by calling or going by Waco Custom Marketplace at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco. 30-pound sacks of live, delicious crawfish so you can have it for the weekend. You must order by 6 o'clock Wednesday. If you get your order in by 6 o'clock Wednesday, you can go by any time after 2 o'clock Friday or throughout the day when they're open on Saturday and pick up how many sacks of 30-pound bags of crawfish you may order. 1, 2, 10, I don't know. That's up to you. This is delicious. Absolutely delicious crawfish live. $4.25 a pound. Order by Wednesday at 6. Pick up after 2 on Friday or throughout the day on Saturday. Also, the weekly specials at Waco Custom Marketplace. How about this bone-in select ribeye steak, $9.99 a pound. Choice New York strip steak, select New York strip steak, and prime New York strip steak anywhere from $8.99 a pound to $12.50 a pound. St. Louis style ribs, $3.25 a pound. Thin sliced chicken breast, $2.25 a pound. Hot links, $3.99 a pound. And also big, large Gulf shrimp, $12.50 a pound, and there's 20% off all beef jerky. Waco Custom Marketplace, they are rolling as the heat in the summer or spring now continues at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line. One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Get the vehicle you've been dreaming about at the President's Day event at Allen Samuels. The 2020 Dodge Charger SXT, ranked #1 in initial quality and driver appeal, has special values of $6,170 or 0% for 72 months, plus $3,000 in combo cash. The 2020 Dodge Charger is at the forefront of muscle car design. From the body to the wheels, it continues to impress. Visit the customer award-winning Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco, to see the 2020 Dodge Charger SXT. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's the 22nd year anniversary sales event going on now at Richard Carr.
All right, here we go. This 4 o'clock hour coming up. We'll hear from John Fanta that covers the Big East. He was there with Georgetown winning with Patrick Ewing. Right now, Baylor men's basketball about to board their flight to head to Indianapolis from Kansas City. We're joined by assistant head coach Guillorme Tang, a great friend of our show. Guillorme, thank you, man. We appreciate you sliding in with us. As always, have you noticed any kind of lack of confidence from what happened on Friday or perhaps the last couple of games?
Not at all. Not at all. Guys that are locked in. Give credit to Oklahoma State. They, the last 7 minutes of the game, they did a great job. We held them to 52 points in 33 minutes, and they scored 31 in the last 7. And we only got 2 stops in the last 7 minutes, and I would attribute that to fatigue. When you think that since coming back from COVID, we played 6 games in 14 days, had 4 wins against ranked opponents, 4 of our 6 games on the road. We traveled 3,500 miles. I think fatigue was definitely a factor, and so the day off after the game was wonderful. Guys rejuvenated. We've had 2 great days of practice where we got to work on our defense and things that we haven't been able to do for the last 14 days because we've just been preparing for games. And we've got a very confident, mature group who's looking forward to playing the next game.
Coach Drew mentioned that last night in his media availability, Jerome, that they're you guys haven't had a practice where you can say, okay, let's work on rotations or this, because you add a couple extra games in there to make them up, and you would normally have a midweek practice where you wouldn't necessarily just be doing game prep, wouldn't you?
Yeah, correct. We would have had a day or two each week where we could focus in on us getting better. And that's so important as the season goes along, because you have to keep getting better. And, when you spend 3 weeks where you're getting worse because you're not together, you're not competing, you're not playing games, and the other teams are getting better for 3 weeks, it doesn't matter how much ahead you were going into that, you're going to come in behind. And the fact that we were able to come out of that and win the games that we won against teams that we won, is just a tremendous credit to the heart and character of our team, our players.
Coach, you've been a part of a lot of watch parties, but what was that like yesterday to see that number one seed come rolling in, and then, obviously the rest of the bracket, and after you guys get to kind of celebrate a little bit, like how quickly are you watching Hartford film after, announcements like that are made?
This tournament's a little bit different because normally Selection Sunday, you're leaving on Wednesday, you're playing either Thursday or Friday, or you're leaving on Tuesday if you play Thursday. It's like a super quick turnaround. Now we've got an extra day, a day and a half built in. And so you got to breathe a little bit. Seeing the number one seed, that was just incredible. I haven't been here 18 years. That's just I took a moment to just think about how incredible it is that we are a number one seed. And it could have been 2 years in a row. So that was really cool. And then, we divide up scouts. So I'm watching Wisconsin, AD doing North Carolina, John's doing Hartford. Whenever we're going to collaborate, we're all going to watch games. But I was just trying to get organized for what I have to do. Everybody's getting organized. And so now we kind of got everything situated, and it's back in work mode. Today we had a great practice working on us, and which is, really the most important thing we need to do in the next. After the Oklahoma City.
Yeah, you sound like you're almost invigorated by what you've seen on the practice court the last couple of days.
Oh, I am. You should see these. This is how I feel now. This is how I felt as we prepared for the Big 12 tournament last year. Like, there was no doubt in my mind that we were going to play in the championship game and be ready to win the championship game last year in the Big 12 tournament. No doubt in my mind, because of how we practiced those 2 days leading up to it and the energy the guys had. And that's the same way it is right now. And so we're I wouldn't want to play us.
Coach, after hearing Mark Vital in the postgame, I don't know if I'd want to practice with you guys. Yeah, he was. When you got guys who are team captains like that, look, I know coaches make it hard, but when you have players like that on your team, the players can make it just as hard, can't they?
Yes, and it is. Coach Drew's done a great job of empowering our guys to have a player-led team, and and teaching them what it means. Player-led team. You hold them accountable. You make sure practice is great. You take care of all the other things and allow us to coach. And they've done that. They've been good. They've been really good.
Jerome, I know you got to take off here in a minute, but a couple of different things. Jared Butler has been having some issues with foul trouble. And a couple of times it's because he's having to make some defensive plays inside with block shots that's gotten him in foul trouble as well, which makes me wonder, is that because he feels he has to? And number two, Adam Flagler just seems like, well, he's kind of been in a funk, and that happens because he was absolutely fantastic coming out of the COVID pause. You feel like that Jared understands the foul trouble issue, and Adam seemed to have his touch back?
I will say in watching film, some of Jared's fouls is because he is not in the right place at the right time. And so he's trying to recover rather than be in the right position. And that's part of the defensive rotation, transition defense, just all those things. Adam, I would say that it's part of it is confidence, but part of it is just more playing time. So the starters are getting there 25, 27, 30 minutes coming off of the COVID pause. The subs are getting less, so it might take them just a little bit longer to get back in the rhythm, both he and John. And, so I like the way our guys encourage each other, and I expect to see, Adam, Matt, John, those guys that come off the bench and have, played really well this coming weekend.
Jerome, thank you. We appreciate your time. Good luck in Indianapolis. Are you guys, is it stir crazy because of what you can or cannot do? Because it's about to get even tighter when you get to Indianapolis.
I hadn't really thought about it. I've just been so excited for the fact that when we get to Indy, that Paul Mills and Oral Roberts is going to be there, and Grant McCaskill from Texas, and Bryce Drew and Grand Canyon. And, you're talking the whole Scott Baylor coaching tree. The person missing is Coach Driscoll, and we were thinking about figuring out how to sneak him in. But when you see your brothers, your family have success, it's watching them win their conference tournaments brought tears of joy to my eyes, and I was probably more happy for them than I was for us. Just incredible, man. And when people do things the right way, good people work really hard, and you see the reward for it, it's just great joy for them.
Yeah. You can't sneak Matt Driscoll in anywhere. He's got too much energy.
Yeah, I know.
You'd have to sedate him and then wake him up in a room like in a spy movie.
Jerome, that's the Baylor joy right there, the way you talk about even those who have been a part of it are no longer. I know you got to go. I know the flight attendants are about to take your phone. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate your time. Good luck in Indianapolis. That's Jerome Tang.
Thank you.
Assistant head coach at Baylor. All right, let's kind of think about a couple of things he just said. I know we're up against the top of the hour. John Fanta, who covers the Big East, will join us next. We're as locked in as I thought we were entering the Big 12 tournament a year ago, and I felt like we were going to play without a doubt in the Big 12 championship final. And then he also mentioned, kind of reiterated what Scott Drew mentioned about getting some practice. Back-to-back, not good practices. He said great practices.
Yeah, and they've said before in press conferences, I didn't like that practice we had on whatever day when they didn't like it. And then it's usually to highlight how they've responded. And I think that's one of the things about this team that's got the veterans on it. You don't need to tell them all day long what they're doing wrong or what they've done wrong. You heard Mark Vidal listed it, this rotation, that rotation. And he was saying, I messed up on this play and this play and this play. I don't know how you remember that in the heat of the moment, but he was remembering specific. So that's the kind of team they have. I liked what I heard there.
Locked in. I asked him about confidence. No, not at all. Not lacking any of it. Locked in as we had 2 great practices in Kansas City. We've been able to focus on us getting better because you just have to get better.
Yeah, well, it sounds like they've identified all the reasons for why things haven't gone the way that they would have liked in some cases, from Jared's fouls to just the fatigue. And, coming off of COVID, and I've already talked about that a couple of times. I can't imagine being in their position, what that grind must be like, because just being a normal person, it's tough. Also address just the lack of practices. So I think he kind of covered all the bases there. Is really, now let's watch them roll the ball back out there. I'm glad they got a couple more days, actually more than that, to, kind of collect themselves and get geared up. But, it's really cool. I hope they get a picture. I meant to say that, but the flight attendant, I think, was about to rip the phone out of his hands. But hopefully they get a picture of the Scott Drew coaching tree if they get the opportunity to do that out there in Indianapolis.
Oh, I bet they will. And there's even, Sam Patterson.
Mm-hmm. Photoshop Driscoll in there.
Oh, yeah.
Just do a little Photoshop.
Normally the Final Four or the tournament, when it gets to the Final Four, that's a convention. Mm-hmm. That's a convention of all the college basketball coaches around the country. It's also almost a meat market when it comes to jobs and whatever else. But not sure how that works this year.
Especially since you can't really cross paths with a lot of people unless you're in the same hotel or whatever.
And I've asked, I spoke with Paul Bradshaw. He handles a lot of these, the basketball liaison for the women's team with athletics. And I was talking to Paul just on emails or text messages yesterday. Down in San Antonio, if we end up going down there to cover a weekend or two, or if they get to the Final Four, whatever it is, it's just different. It's no different than Indianapolis. We can go to Indianapolis. There's 5 different members credentialed by each team. 5, not 17, not 30, not 9, 5. And we're going to be there. We're going to have a presence there. We just don't know exactly when or where or how yet because of just it's going to be different, We could have as much coverage sitting here in Waco on Zoom as we would if we were sitting in Indianapolis on Zoom. Mm-hmm. But we're going to do what we can with Jason King and Ashley Hodge, whatever we could possibly do. We will, and a better chance even, of course, of what can drive down to San Antonio, maybe perhaps for the second weekend if Baylor continues to win and see if they can get to another Final Four. When we come back, one of the surprise teams in the tournament, they knocked somebody out. Georgetown won the Big East title. Patrick Ewing, John Thompson's son, I think, was doing the color work for John Fanta of the Big East Radio and Television Network, and John will join us. He's next on SicEm365 Radio.
March means it's time to celebrate 22 years of serving Waco and Central Texas with big savings on all cars and trucks on the lot at Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. All 2021 Buicks have deep discounts. You can save $4,500 on a 2021 Buick Encore. You can save $3,500 on a 2021 Buick Encore GX or a 2021 Buick Envision. You can also save $6,000 off a 2021 Buick Enclave, or qualified buyers can get 0% financing for 72 months. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. You can find savings like $8,000 off a 2021 GMC Sierra, or save $6,500 on a 2021 GMC Acadia or GMC Terrain. And Richard Carr Motors is your local family dealer. They want to earn your business with great prices, free oil changes with a new purchase, and priority warranty service on all vehicles purchased. So come by their clean and disinfected showroom to take a test drive, or let them bring a test drive to you. And right now during the big basketball tournament, come by and take a shot to win additional prizes. It's a big 22-year anniversary sales event going on now at Richard Carr.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingram at the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
it's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house-cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasonings, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Floater will go for T.
Good.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
What a weekend in the Big East Tournament. Patrick Ewing, Georgetown, the Hoyas. John Fanta works for Fox Sports and also host of the Big East Shoot-Around. FS1, NBA, does it all. John Fanta joins us on SicEm365 Radio at John_Fanta, Fanta, on SicEm365 Radio. How much reminiscing was going on this weekend in that tournament at Madison Square Garden with all the names and Georgetown involved, John?
A ton of reminiscing, guys, and thanks so much for having me. Good afternoon. Happy Madness. It really was something because you're inside the Garden where it is mostly empty. And you're thinking to yourself, how is the Big East tournament at Madison Square Garden, which has become an institution in New York City, going to be able to create the same excitement? And the thought is it's not going to be able to, like we've seen in all sports. But there is a number 33 hanging in the rafters inside that building. And the reason why the Big East tournament went to the world's most famous arena back in the early 80s in the first place was because Patrick Ewing committed to Georgetown to play for John Thompson. And the commissioner of the Big East, the founder of the Big East, Dave Gavin, said, that's it. We're taking our tournament to Madison Square Garden. How poetic that in a year unlike any other, in which we were lacking a lot of the exciting, compelling storylines in some areas, particularly in the Big East, which was having a bit of a down season, that the man who was part of the reason why the Big East tournament went to the Garden in the first place now was the first to be a player and coach hoisting a Big East tournament trophy. That is the beauty of March. And on the day, 49 years to the day that Georgetown hired John Thompson, Patrick Ewing wins a Big East championship. That's incredible.
All right, John, I have two questions for you. One is, based on everything you just said, who are the security personnel that clearly have not walked around the halls of their own thing and seen a picture of Patrick Ewing that were giving him such grief? And two, what is the Hoyas' staying power in the tournament?
Well, to answer your first question, let's start with this. I was in the room with Patrick Ewing when he said these things. And he was being totally sarcastic, which is the amazing part about this, because it just took off and took on a life of its own. That being said, I'm not sure what the Garden security were thinking. Numero uno, I don't care if we're in a pandemic or not. He's 7'2", 7'3". He looks like he's 10 feet tall. He isn't walking in to get into the Big East tournament. He was walking in to win the whole thing. So I'm still in a state of shock that Madison Square Garden security, I'm not sure who it is, But my suggestion to James Dolan and the Knicks would be to call a seminar with their security. You can hold it because it's not like you're allowing fans in the building to begin with. Seat everybody around the Garden floor and have them watch an hour-long video on Patrick Ewing and exactly who he is. And I can tell you guys that he was escorted around the building throughout the rest of the Big East tournament by MSG Security, the head of MSG Security who handles the Knicks. So fortunately, that was all taken care of. And to answer part two of your question, what's the staying power? Well, they got an interesting draw. They got McKinley Wright in Colorado. Colorado has had a good year, but been an inconsistent team at times. And there are some people out there who might have thought they have been a little bit overvalued as a 5 seed. We see the 12 over the 5 all the time in this tournament. Georgetown, on paper, is not as good of a team as Colorado. But Georgetown, on paper, hasn't been as good as a lot of their opponents. In fact, get this. Out of the Big East games that they played, they were only favored in 3 of them. 3 total. They have been living the life of an underdog all season long at 1.3-8, at 1.5-10. But you know what? This team has won 9 of their last 11 games. They're going to have to defend McKinley Wright well because Wright is a high-level player, one of the best in college basketball that people don't talk about. But for the Hoyas, they have a freshman point guard named Dante Harris and a senior defensive stopper in Jamarco Pickett. The way Georgetown's defending, when you combine all that with a center named Qudus Wahab, who's really been controlling the painted area, of course, for Patrick Ewing. I would go to Georgetown if I were a big guy. The Hoyas have a shot. They have a puncher's chance to pull off the upset in the opening round. Beyond that, I wouldn't say they have much staying power.
When you mentioned they struggled a little bit, and obviously Patrick Ewing spent a lot of time as an assistant coach on NBA teams, kind of getting himself in position for this moment. He's kind of like bulletproof, right? Was there any kind of whispers that he couldn't get this done?
Yes, there were many whispers, and the whispers were turning into real talk from a lot of smart people in the sport because we've seen the former player go back to a school and it not work out. Close in the Big East, Chris Mullen at St. John's. But we've seen former players do it as head coaches. I think of Mark Price recently at Charlotte. The list goes on and on. Dunleavy at Tulane. We could go through a flurry of guys that just haven't been able to make it work. I could tell you that even this season, people thought, I don't know if Patrick Ewing is a long-term answer for this team. Well, I met Patrick his first weeks on the job back in 2017, and it was clear how exhausted he was. I mean, exhausted, guys. We are talking about a guy with a couple of bad knees that had a great playing career in the NBA, but he's hopping on planes, like a college coach would do at 5 a.m. This guy, unlike other guys who have come back to their alma mater or come back to coaching college, this guy was putting in the time because he succeeded in everything he's done. And he was an NBA assistant for a decade and a half and never got the head coaching look in the NBA. And he talked about it on Saturday night, that he believes the color of his skin played a part in that and the fact that he's just some big guy. And he said it himself, for all those that don't think it, big men can coach. And he proved it. He proved it this past week. He's proved it this season. The man had COVID this past spring. The Georgetown Hoyas had a 3-week pause in January. They could have had every excuse to give up on their season. In fact, at one point, there were rumbles out there that they might pass on the rest of their season because of the amount of COVID issues they dealt with. This is a great American sports story. The prodigal son of John Thompson, months after Coach Thompson had passed away, hoists a trophy inside MSG. And in the Big East, UConn came back to the conference this year, and they were tied with Georgetown for 7 conference tournament titles. And if you don't think that matters, it does. Georgetown reestablished the order that they once had. And right now in the DMV, I can tell you there is a lot of joy because the doubters, it's amazing what has happened. They're bringing in a top 20 recruiting class next year. The thought was that Georgetown could turn the corner next year or the year after. Patrick Ewing has showed that the constant is in place. This guy knows how to coach, and anybody who thinks that he's on that he's on the hot seat or that there should have been pressure. Well, Patrick Ewing, like he did as a player, has blocked every one of those shots.
Did that picture of you, John, your timeline picture of the celebration with the Big East microphone flags, was John Thompson Jr. on the broadcast?
What are you referring to? Like this past weekend?
Yes.
Well, John passed away this past summer.
No, I was going to say I saw the picture of you, and it kind of confused me. That's what I was trying to. Okay, that must be from an old picture. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I just that's the amazing thing, gentlemen, is we're talking about the 49th anniversary of John Thompson's hiring at Georgetown, and on that day, John's greatest gift at Georgetown. I mean, he has said it himself. It's been Patrick Ewing. And when John's son, John III, got let go at Georgetown 4 years ago, John Thompson called up that prodigal son in Ewing and said, "You need to coach this team. You've never been given a chance to be a head coach. I'm giving you a chance." Well, Patrick Ewing took him up on it. And on Saturday, he honored his beloved coach with a championship. It was magical, guys. It was really incredible. I can't even sum up enough the emotion inside a building that was mostly empty. Even MSG security, who had, after a couple of days, learned who Patrick Ewing was, they had goosebumps.
Yeah, I got to make sure I clarify. I was mentioning John Thompson III on the picture that's on your Twitter feed, but that's not him. That's the guy that was at Georgia State, right? Is that the coach that was at Georgia State?
Hunter?
It may have been. I'm sorry. I got that confused. All right. I saw your note just now. Gino Auriemma has tested positive for COVID on the eve of the selection show for the women's programs.
Yeah, Gino Auriemma has tested positive. He is isolated from his team. Connecticut played their Big East championship game last Monday. So Coach Auriemma has been isolated from the team since then. They've been in quarantine. He will be available to return around March 23rd or 24th. But this is further proof. Gino Auriemma received both doses of the vaccine, and he still contracted COVID-19.
Wow. All right, John, do you have anything you're going to do between now and the NIT or the NCAA, or you just sit back and get to enjoy? You got a bunch of shows to do, huh?
This is stop number 7 of 9 on the day. You guys are stop number 7. And we'll keep on rolling. So I host Big East Shoot Around on the Big East Network. You can follow me at John_Fanta, JOHN_Fanta. And I'll have coverage of the NCAA tournament for a variety of platforms. But I host a weekly podcast on the Field of 68, which is owned by Jeff Goodman and Rob Douster. So I will continue to have tournament coverage, and I'm very intrigued. I think, gentlemen, that I absolutely see when that bracket came out last night, I can't see Gonzaga missing the Final Four. I can't see Baylor missing the Final Four. I thought both got the friendly draws, the ones that they deserve. They've done the work, and they both should be there in Indianapolis for the next couple of weeks. I cannot see a world where they are not one of 2 of the 4 standing.
Hey, man, good luck. Continued luck. Appreciate your energy. Love it for Georgetown and Patrick Ewing. Great stuff. Great stories. Thanks for your time. John Fanta again with us. Big East Shoot Around, also FS1, CBS College Basketball on Fox play-by-play as well. All right, when we come back, we don't have anything here. Look, so we have time for 254-339-1122. What is your confidence meter with Baylor, the men? As they head to the tournament, Hartford Friday, we'll hear from their head coach. Hartford's John Gallagher. He'll join us today. At 5:15. Evan Miyakawa on a lot of the analytical parts of the tournament as it sets up at 5. And also we'll have King McClure today at 5:30 as well. This is SicEm365 Radio. Let's say you have something that's bothering you because of an accident, because of something in which whatever you did, you strained something badly, maybe even tore something, maybe a ligament, maybe a muscle, something that's worse than you've ever felt before, or maybe you've felt something like this before and it was bad. You've had to have surgery or you've had to have some sort of rehab. Ideal MRI can help you out. If your doctor that you're seeing says, hey, we need to look deeper into what's hurting your shoulder, your knee, or perhaps some other part of your body that hurts, then Ideal MRI needs to be your answer. You ask your doctor, hey, how about Ideal MRI? And then you say, that's where I'm going. Ideal MRI in the Central Texas marketplace off of I-35 and Loop 340. IdealMRI.com. Every single time is $497 or less for an MRI. The procedure to get locked in for a scheduled appointment, easy. Go online or call them. IdealMRI.com. Once you're there, there is no long wait. There's not the constant watching someone else walk into what they're doing and waiting and waiting. It is very, very efficient. And then once you get into the second level of it, before the MRI, the Texan specialist will help you with everything you need to know, questions you have, and even calm you down if you need it. And then the experience inside their state-of-the-art technology MRI machine will be absolutely fantastic. Ideal MRI can save you hundreds, if not thousands, on an MRI. So the next time your doctor asks about getting an MRI or tells you you need one, you tell him or her back, IdealMRI.com.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness was built to help give you a chance to enjoy elite tennis facilities and also remain fit or reshape your body. Now Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has gone through its own physical changes. There are 7 large flat screens stretched across the main and improved weight room with Wi-Fi available and their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports channels. The beautiful sound of active treadmills and elliptical machines, group exercise classes throughout each day, a new ballet bar for bar classes, a new look lounge and bar with beer and wine with more large flat screens available. Touchless water fountains outside each spacious men's and women's locker rooms, showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts and lessons for adults and juniors. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Also, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. So start today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
March marks 22 years for Richard Carr Motors. Celebrate with big savings going on now during the anniversary sale event.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Sausage wrap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue. Next in line.
We've sent the nomination forms to area high school counselors for the 11th annual Academic All-Stars team, and we will find 20 elite student athletes who excel in both academic and athletic competition from Central Texas high schools. Hello, everyone. This is David Smoak. Our title sponsor is Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952. The 2021 Academic All-Stars program is also brought to you by Westdale Asset Management, Englander Design Pack, Southwest Sports Medicine, Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Coca-Cola of Waco, Ray Broker Air Conditioning and Heating, Texas Sports Hall of Fame, HEB, the McLean Group, Universal Windows Direct, Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, and the Waco Foundation are 501c3. Nomination deadlines March 31st. We'll eventually announce the team on Monday, May 3rd. Honor them at our annual banquet on Wednesday, May the 19th. It's the 11th annual Academic All-Stars team highlighting the elite student athletes in Central Texas right here on SicEm365 Radio.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right. Craig Smoak turned 37 years old today.
Yeah.
It's a big moment in every man's life when you turn 37.
Who's the best 37 pitchers? There was a lefty.
Kenny Rogers.
Kenny Rogers was 37.
The gambler.
Craig's a lefty, right? I wonder if there's a football player with that number 30.
James Washington.
James Washington played for the Cowboys. We've had him on the show back in the early launch time of this show on April the 6th, right? Anything else? Do you feel 37 or do you feel younger? You don't feel younger.
I feel 64. Are you kidding me? Like, I just off 2 weeks of COVID break, and I've already commented a couple times.
Here we go.
Jesus.
Here we go.
Well, thank you.
I had I had a 3 and a 7, and I forgot that I didn't have my golf bag in my car, or I would have had a torch lighter or matches. And Paul, you don't smoke anymore.
I've never smoked ever.
Armstrong, this is a non-smoking environment. Hell, you've got maybe a lighter or something. We got to find that. I got a 3 and a 7. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
And we got some other things as well. Should I go ahead and do that now? Sean Alexander won an MVP, one or two of them, if I remember correctly. So yellow cake with chocolate icing.
Yeah, that'll work for sure. Love chocolate and yellow cake too. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Armstrong, do we get video of that? We can put that up on the podcast and all that stuff as well. I've got plates here, little plates, and also forks and knives and
I think it'd be a great segment to just have our listeners watch us eat cake.
That'd
be fun.
We might damn do that right now.
Yeah, I've watched some shows where like they'll have like a beer or like a whiskey or something while they do the show. I've never seen one where people just stuff food in their face and talk about sports.
I actually listened to I was never a big Opie and Anthony guy.
Mm-hmm. There you go. You can start picking away at that.
Yeah, I will probably not do that during the show, but I was more of a Stern guy growing up. But I remember Opie and Anthony, they got way too comfortable on radio when I'd tune in, like just flipping through back in the day, and they would be eating on air. And there was nothing more to me obnoxious and just gross sounding than people just smacking on air. And yeah, it was like they got just way too comfortable with their gig, and so they're just eating breakfast on the air, and it drove me nuts.
Chewing makes a noise whether you're polite about it or not.
Yeah, it's just,
and then when you put it into a microphone, a device specifically designed to amplify noise,
right? Yeah,
it's not always gonna sound great. But one of the things we're not gonna have a whole lot of time to talk about because we're really basketball heavy today is the first day of the legal tampering period, which I think is a stupid name for anything. Legal tampering. It's just the first day of free agency in the NFL. Nothing's happened with the Cowboys yet, and they're not going to do anything today, but they might lose some people. But look, Jason Verrett, former TCU star, got big money to stay in San Francisco. The Patriots are spending some money, which is something they don't normally do. So, they've lost some people. They brought some people in. It is that time of year.
Yeah, I saw Matthew Judon going to the Patriots from Baltimore. That'll be a good pickup for New England, and the candles are not that big of a deal.
They are for me, though.
I don't know why.
By the way,
it's not your birthday, but
Doak Walker wore number 37.
There you go.
There you go, Doak Walker.
They're in the closet there, Smokey. I put them in there somewhere. So when we planned this whole little clandestine thing before, Matthew Judon, also Jonnu Smith to the Patriots, tight end from Tennessee. Malik Collins, who was with Las Vegas last year, on his way, former Cowboy, on his way to the Texans now. So, there's not a whole lot of huge names. Jonnu Smith. Former Patriots offensive lineman Joe Thuney to the Chiefs on a 5-year, $80 million deal.
7 broke.
So
pissed. Oh, well.
It's great radio.
It is.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
It's also great.
So, for those listening, Smokey's currently putting number 37 candles into the cake and is about to attempt to light it.
Man, these little lighters.
That's what's happening.
I'm like the obnoxious grandkid.
Well, there you go.
There we go.
The majority of our audience is actually listening and not watching. So that's perfect.
There you go.
What, are we off?
No. We said that most people are
just listening.
Are listening and not watching on YouTube. So
the hell,
that's good.
that was a lot. I'm exhausted.
That's good. They're now because they're ping pong back on camera. I'm watching you just go.
Just exhausted.
Screen.
All right. Boy, this will be our most listened to segment.
This will go in the Radio Hall of Fame.
I've always appreciated the informal nature of our show.
Best of moments right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a time, though, I would have been too uptight to do that. You know what I mean? Talking about we can't do anything like outside of just street. We'll have some audio from the women here in just a moment, by the way, down in as they head to Santa. Okay, some stats. Drew Brees retired. You mentioned NFL. In the 101-year history of the NFL, no quarterback has thrown more 3+ touchdown games, more 4+ touchdown games, and more 5+ touchdown games in a career, more 300-yard games, and more 400-yard games. He is the leader in all 5 of those categories.
Yeah, he's going to work for NBC. I believe he announced that on Today's Show this morning, is where all good sports news should come from. But he's one of the greats. He's one of my favorite players. I really always enjoyed watching him play. I enjoyed the way he always handled his business. And
don't blow out other people's candles, man.
That's bad luck.
I was trying to keep the other one lit.
No, the other one's already out.
Oh, it's out. He's now 31. See, you're younger. Yeah. All right.
There we go.
You got half a wish.
Yeah.
So here's what a couple of scouts told Rick Gosselin, longtime NFL Hall of Fame writer, about Drew Brees prior to the draft. Not as strong an arm as I initially thought. He's bright, smart, accurate, but doesn't have a strong arm. Not as strong as Cade McNown. He is a product of the system, competitive, productive, can move around in the pocket, but he has limitations. Scout 2 showed a stronger arm at Indy than expected. Scout 3 could have more success than Michael Vick early if he goes to the right team because he has a football mind and is a problem solver. Personnel director, he's Jake Plummer, a winner.
Yeah.
I guess at Arizona State.
I
right?
didn't know, but Jake was
He was
okay
pretty
in the
good.
NFL for a little while. And then
He's ready to play mentally right now in the short passing game, blows away the rest of the field in terms of readiness, especially Michael Vick. Personnel director number 2, pure quarterback, accurate, poised, would have been the third guy in that 99 draft with Tim Couch, Donovan McNabb, and Achilles Smith.
Well, I mean, there's only one of those
I don't
guys
know if that's a compliment or not.
Yeah. Only one of those 3 guys was good.
Offensive coordinator short on him makes a difference than short on Vick because he doesn't have the unbelievable athleticism of Michael Vick. Inconsistent on his throws out of the blue. He'll have 5 throws in a row that are dangerous second round.
Well, and that's what he was. He's the first pick in the second round.
Second, here's another offensive coordinator. Didn't have a lot of passes batted down at Purdue, though. Offensive coordinator number 2. Wish he was 3 inches taller. We all do. He's a starter. He's Eric Zaire. Same offense, shotgun player, Sean King. When those guys get under center, they can't see squat. Brees had so many balls batted down in the All-Star games. And then here's one more. I'm going to throw this one out. He has all the intangibles to be a solid quarterback, not a franchise, like Brian Griese. Same arm strength, a little more accuracy, more of a team guy than Griese, and a better runner, good athlete. And so those are some of. No one was just like glowing, other than the fact that.
No, but look, the Chargers in their history have not been a team that's drafted really well, but in that particular draft, their first 2 picks were LaDainian Tomlinson and Drew Brees.
Yeah, that's pretty damn good.
I mean, that's
What did they get from New Orleans? Was he a free agent? He was a free agent.
He hurt his elbow or something, and they had already drafted Phillip Rivers, and they're like, all right, he's going to walk.
You know, Josh McCown was a free agent. I think he had already been to a couple of teams at that time. But Josh McCown was going to fly to Miami and then decided not to. I think that I may have a little bit off here, but he decided not to because Brees was in Miami. And everybody thought he would not leave Miami without then signing him. So Josh McCown, I think, then went somewhere else. Might have been Detroit. I don't know where it was because he thought Miami and Brees was a lock. And then somehow he ended up going to New Orleans, and the rest is history. Now, there are concerns. Could he have won more? Could he have won more titles? We know about the game with who was the game with the interference? St. Louis? LA, I mean. We also know that he helped that city at the best time ever because they had been hammered with Katrina. Am I right? They were trying to bounce back from that.
He helped them bounce back from Katrina. I mean, he has adopted New Orleans as his city. I mean, he's very much New Orleans. He's the face of New Orleans sports. And, yeah, he only won 1 Super Bowl, but Aaron Rodgers only won 1 Super Bowl. You know, not everybody can beat Tom Brady, and especially when you're playing at the same time as Tom Brady. And, you know, the Saints went through periods where they just weren't as adept with the salary cap, and They had some down years, but he was consistently good all the time. He was consistently great all the time, and he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, he's the all-time leading passer in the NFL. He was a great – I mean, the Saints also, when Breeze got there, what history did the Saints have? They were a joke. He made them not a joke.
In 2009, it was a remarkable year. They won the championship game at home and went on to win the Super Bowl title as well. So that's that. And I want to mention Akira Nugent. Remember we had her on about a week or so ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago before the indoor. Oh, no, it was right after the Big 12 indoor meet in Lubbock. She won a national title over the weekend in Fayetteville, Arkansas, in her 60 meters, whatever she runs, a 60-meter hurdle. She won the national title. Casey Lightfoot, the record-breaking pole vaulter, won the national title. And Ayala Miller also won a gold medal, winning the national title as well. So 3 athletes from Baylor, but Akira Nugent, who we had on the show, won a national championship. Happy and proud for her. Get to know her name. That's what they say about her. One more note. Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua have signed to fight twice, a 2-fight deal to unify the heavyweight championship. The problem is each one of them has a different representative across the board, and the messiness of politics of how they're going to get this done. They're not sure where they're going to fight, when they're going to fight. Not sure about any of that, but they're going to fight the heavyweight championship belt. Tyson Fury, of course, who's been on the scene now recently. Who did he knock out? Who did he beat? Was it the guy we had on the Super Bowl?
Carter, right?
Who?
Carter, is that his name?
I can't remember his name. But Tyson
Fury's beaten a lot of guys, and I don't know exactly who you're talking about, but this has been a fight that's been building up for forever and ever because heavyweights all have their own representatives, their own belts, their own this and that, their own demands. And Joshua getting knocked out like a year and a half, 2 years ago, kind of derailed plans when he got upset by the Mexican fighter whose name I can't even remember now. I don't think most people probably can. Anthony Ruiz or something like that. I forget. But whenever they had that big upset, that kind of derailed things. So, you got the trio. It's like Wilder, Fury,
that's the one,
Joshua. And
Deontay
they just
Wilder.
go in circles, and, it's kind of the 3 guys. So I don't, I hate that there's, I'm glad that they're unifying belts. I think the multiple belts is dumb. I think it's stupid. I think it's the dumbest thing, and I understand why, but it's all because of money. That's the entire reason, money and power. So I'm the WBO heavyweight. No, I'm the WBC. Well, I'm the it's just there's the champ or there's not the champ, in my opinion. So that'll be good. Unify some belts and clear up some of the confusion. I mean, it's, I know boxing doesn't have mainstream appeal if it's not Floyd Mayweather or, a really popular Mexican fighter like Canelo or someone like that. Yeah. But it doesn't help when, you can't even tell who the champ is or why he's the champ or who he beat to become the champ or, which champ is he.
We should always know who the heavyweight champion is, and I couldn't tell you the last 10 years. I know Klitschko's been in there.
If you got, one of those, year in review things, when up until I was probably about 12 or 13 years old, the NBA champion was the Celtics, and the heavyweight champion was Mike Tyson, and the MLB champ was, whoever won it. It just had the list. Well, now they couldn't do that because there's so many people they'd have to list. Your little year in review thing would be silly.
Yeah, and I know when I've talked about boxing before, boxing fans like to pull the card of a lot of people who are fans of sports that aren't that popular. Oh, well, you just don't get it because you don't watch it or you don't understand it. And yeah, I don't understand the sweet science on a level of where I can watch the ESPN Friday night fights and really appreciate 2 guys who I could care less about. No, I don't care that much about it. But just for the average viewer whose opinion you should care about, if you're really worried about the popularity of your sport, for the average viewer who knows a little bit more than probably even the average person about boxing, it's still confusing to me. And so, what motivation do I have to really get into it and follow it? The UFC's partly lost my interest because there's 52 champions.
Well, that argument to me is somebody if you said hey, I'm kind of into movies and oh, you should see Avengers Endgame, and then the guy goes, you know what you should see instead of that? This tiny little independent movie. No, yeah. People the reason the heavyweight fights were big is because they were blockbusters, man. They were the movie you waited for. You waited for them. Nobody's waiting to see a little art house fight. We don't want to see that. We want to see big fights.
Yeah, and, it doesn't help when everybody's got promoted. Just looking at a piece about the article, So some of the people involved in this, they finally got the final signature. Sonny is believed to include the fighters, Fury and Joshua, Joshua's promoter, Matchroom Boxing, Fury's American promoter, Top Rank, Fury's English promoter, Queensberry, and Fury's management. So Fury's got an English promoter, an American promoter, and a management company based out of Dubai. Plus, like, it's just, there's so much stuff in boxing that just is annoying to me, like the power structure of it all and the promotions and kind of how all that works. So, I mean, not to bash on it, this is actually good news. These guys are going to fight and unify some belts. I think that's a good thing.
All right, so there's that. That's some boxing news as well. And finally, a baseball note, and then we'll come back with some Lady Bears comments as they head to San Antonio. They'll know tonight there'll be a number 2 seed, most likely. Who else will be in their region?
Andrew Ruiz. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah.
I think I might have,
I think you said Oscar,
that was the Mexican fighter who upset Joshua I was trying to think of.
Guillorme?
Yes.
Louis Guillorme of the Mets.
Did you watch the highlight of this?
No.
It's great. If you love baseball, it's
Cardinals and Mets, spring training game. Louis Guillorme worked a 22-pitch at-bat off of Jordan Hicks, who was just coming back from, like, Tommy John surgery. A 22-pitch at-bat to walk. He fouled off 16 pitches, including 9 straight before getting the 4th ball. He saw 10 pitches that were 99 miles an hour or above throughout the 22 pitches.
I saw it on Twitter, the highlight on Twitter the other day, and it was super. Here you go. It's kind of a super cut here.
Let's count them.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk a little bit. 22 pitches, one of 3.
Again, this is Guillorme of the Mets against Hicks of St. Louis. And it made me immediately think, fouled off, what did he say, 9 or 10 pitches. He just keeps fouling them off. Some of them were 84 mile an hour, and some was 101.
Well, look, it's not like this guy's
like that one right there at his head. And Hicks,
Major League hitting coaches love guys who can work at bats.
Hicks, who had Tommy John surgery back in 2000 for the Cardinals staff, the next 2 hitters also were hit.
Well, here's the thing. In spring training, they have very kind of specific plans for people where they'll, Hicks could have been like, you're going to pitch 40 pitches. And so it could have happened in all this one at bat here.
Okay, that makes me wonder, and I'm sure it's not even close. It makes me wonder, what's the record? This is a ton of pitches.
If only we had a way to search those types of things.
Yeah, I know. It's called the internet. I'm just glued to this. 22 pitches.
Yeah, that was pitch number 20.
101 mile an hour fastball inside. Backed him off.
I would think that if you were Jordan
Another
Hicks
foul.
here, you're thinking the umpires.
But that was 2018. I don't know if I haven't seen anybody's done that since. So
Brendan Belt played at Texas for a year, I believe.
Brendan Belt
from Lufkin Hudson High School, I believe. Yeah.
So he did. Yeah. So he had 21 pitches and ended up flying out back in April 2018. So this would have been the new record, I believe. Yeah. No, it would have been the new record had it been in the regular season.
All right. Thank you to Gunny. He's the one that informed me that there was a lighter in the utility room. Appreciate that. God. All right, so if you did not hear earlier, we had Jerome
Gunny's
Tang,
been here too much.
Jason King, yeah.
It's like I can't find the Gunny's like, it's the 3rd shelf from the right.
Also today, coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, Evan Miyakawa on all the analytics and stats, of course, of the tournament. And then John Gallagher, the head coach at Hartford, the Hawks. He'll join us at 5:15. And then King McClure will join us live on Zoom at 5:30. Much more to get to, including the Lady Bears, and their march to the NCAA tournament will start very soon. And in fact, they'll know by sometime after about 5 o'clock or so where they're going to go. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Look, you just heard the news. Even with vaccinations, you can still get COVID, and you might be better off symptom-wise. But, look, you might have a COVID outbreak with people with vaccinations. It's going to be part of our lives for a while. And if you need mass COVID testing, Impact Health Labs can do that for you. On-site, low cost to you because they accept most major forms of insurance, and you'll get it back the next day, within 24 hours of them getting it to the lab. So there's no reason not to if you need it from Impact Health Labs. ImpactHealthLabs.com will set it up. This is a company founded by 3 military-trained medical professionals who believe in efficiency, accuracy, and speed. That's what they do. That's what they had to do when they're in the military. You got to get things fast and things quick and things right. That's what they do at Impact Health Labs. So remember the website, ImpactHealthLabs.com. That's ImpactHealthLabs.com.
Ram Truck Month means special pricing on new Ram trucks at Allen Samuels. The 3-Peat Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab, has special values up to $7,250 or 0% for 72 months, plus $3,000 in combo cash. Visit the customer award-winning Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco, for the 3-time Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab. Ram Truck Month is going on now at Allen Samuels, your friend in the car business. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
All right, here we go. This 4 o'clock hour winding down, loaded up in the 5, as I mentioned. Baylor women will find out tonight which region they'll be in. Of course, all of the teams go to San Antonio, coming off yet another conference tournament championship. The Queen Egbo rise to what she's doing, it's not as if she's improved. She's done more than that. She has taken her game to a level that I didn't know if it was there, at least not this year. We've asked Bill Brock about it. We've heard from Kim Mulkey about it. But I asked Kim in the game, this might have been even after the win against Texas, before she had a ton of rebounds against West Virginia, if she's ever had a big player inside flourish later in the year compared to what Queen Egbo's doing. And listen to the comparison she made. Have you ever had a big inside develop towards the end of the year the way she has? Do you remind you of anybody?
Gosh, Smoak, I've been doing this 35 years. I'm sure if I answer that, I'm going to forget somebody. I think of Sophia Young, and she didn't have anybody in front of her. Sophia Young's development from a young lady who nobody knew about in high school. Now, Queen was different. Everybody knew about her, but, Sophia Young was a foreign exchange student that really took up the game of basketball late in life. And to watch her go from her freshman year to her junior year to an All-American to winning a national championship, their body makeup and what they look like are very similar. Just outstanding athletes, leap out of the gym, run the floor. I don't know if any of y'all, have y'all seen Queen in pregame warmups of late, or do y'all just turn this TV thing on when the game starts? Have you seen what she's doing in pregame warmups? Go ahead, be honest. No, we haven't, Coach. Y'all, she's dunking it with ease. She now in our pregame warmups, 2-line layups, she goes up and 2-hand dunks it. So that in itself, little things like that, y'all are missing out on. Our fans are missing out on it. Not many girls can do that.
So that's Kim Mulkey. Sophia Young.
Think people should be at pregame warmups?
No. It's just because no one's at the game, basically. But I've seen a couple of the videos they've put up of her doing that. And she's got very, very athletic. And I always thought that maybe she would have to battle sometimes making sure she didn't gain any weight. Not that she ever was large or anything. I'm not saying that. But she really has just exploded. And then because of that, a team in Baylor, when you look at UConn, there's the Gino Auriemma story out there that he's tested positive, but see what happens with that. South Carolina, Texas A&M, and others that are up in front of them, Stanford, and those might be the 4 number 1 seeds. I may be missing somebody. But because of the way Queen Egbo has taken her game to another level, and with what we know Nalissa Smith is doing, does this give them a chance maybe now better than they had a month or so ago about being a Final Four team? The way Queen playing a Final Four type level now for you guys as a team, not that you might not have made it without that, but the way she's raised her game, is it now at that level?
Yes, and I told her that as well. Queen Egbo now has her own identity. She is not living in somebody's shadow. She's not trying to do what previous players have done. And when you find what that is, your niche, then do it to the best of your abilities. And she really is. And we knew it was in her. We just kept trying to get it out of her quicker than she could get it out. And now we're at the point where when she doesn't do those things, we're frustrated at her because we now expect it every game.
Queen, what's it like to know that everyone recognizes what you've done in recent weeks?
It's really good to know that I'm starting to get a little bit of recognition, but at the end of the day, I know my job isn't done. I know my team still has a long way to go. We still have a lot more to do, and it's nice, but this is not what I came here for. I came here to win, to be a part of something bigger and better, and I feel like my team is very capable of getting to the Final Four and, eventually cutting down those nets in San Antonio, but we're just taking things day by day. I try not to look too far into the future. I try to just take things, like I said, day by day and focus on the present and what I have to do today and tomorrow to help my team.
All right, that's both Kim Mulkey and Queen Egbo. I don't know if you guys watched much of what they were doing. They handled both Texas and West Virginia. People are so spoiled by them winning. They hammered West Virginia to close out the year a week ago today. They're playing pretty well. I still don't know about if they have enough offense with them scoring as much as they are. I still am concerned about what they do on offense.
Yeah, I think people do probably take it for granted, but I think that's the lack of competition that is in play with women's basketball. You see the men, they're playing 3 top 25 teams in a row, and then they're turning around and playing top 25 teams in their tournament, and the ladies, it's kind of every once in a while you'll see them play a top 25 team, and even when they do, they kind of just handle them. You know what I mean? So I just think, yeah, it's being spoiled in a way, but that's just because they're so good. Like, I mean, I think any fan base would kind of have that reaction of, like, now I think you'll see the interest rise up quite a bit. Maybe not like for the very first game of the tournament, but now that they're in the tournament, people know they're going to be playing teams that are going to be more close to their level, and they're playing for a championship. So I think that there will be a lot more, Lady Bears discussion and excitement starting to emerge here over the next couple of weeks for sure.
Yeah, and look, that what I do, and this is great that Baylor's gotten to win all these Big 12 titles in a row. I do feel bad for them in that going into the tournament the last several years, there's nobody that Iowa State jumped up and bid them this year, and that happened, and that can happen once a year, but no one can consistently compete for the title with them, and that to me is a little bit upsetting when you look at the rest of the league. It's not Baylor's fault. The rest of the league has not kept pace at all and has fallen so far back that, especially since A&M left, who's really been true competition for them year in and year out? No one.
No, it's one team on occasion makes a run at them, and they usually might even get them early, but very rarely have they even done that. And then by the end of the year, they're up by 3 or 4 games like they were again this year.
Yeah, and a part of that is, not everybody's going to have Hall of Fame coaches. Kim Mulkey's a Hall of Fame coach, and Gary Blair, is a legendary coach in his own right. So, you lose that guy from the conference. It's not like you can just say, okay, the teams that are left, who are you going to hire that's going to be at a Gary Blair's level? They don't. There's not a farm you go to.
Yeah, Sherry Cole in Oklahoma kind of fell off a cliff a little bit. Vic Schaefer is going to need some time at Texas because those two matchups. I mean, I know the last one was a little bit closer, but I mean, really, Baylor didn't have too much trouble with them from best I could tell. So yeah, I mean, now hey, it's tournament time, and we'll see how deep they can make it. But that's a team that I think, for as much as maybe people aren't talking about them or they just expect them to be there, I think they're a team that could really kind of upset the apple cart a little bit because they're not looked at as a favorite to win the women's tournament. They're not being talked about as like a heavy, this is the top 2 or 3 teams. They're on the verge of that, but they're not in that UConn conversation or probably even with a couple of other teams. So they've got plenty of motivation. They have the target on their back always, but it's not as big as a target as they normally have. So I think they could go into the tournament and kind of, all of a sudden find themselves there towards the end and people go, oh, crap, there's Baylor, and they're playing really well. I think it's a situation like that for them, which is a good thing.
Yeah, they had that early loss at Arkansas when Arkansas had a player light it up, and then they had that loss coming off the pause to Iowa State, but since that time they've won 17 or 18 in a row. UConn, Stanford, NC State, A&M, and South Carolina are getting most of the attention. Now, one of them won't be a number 1 seed. One of them won't be. But I'll tell you what, South Carolina finally dropped a little bit. They're 22-4. Now, their losses are against pretty good people. I think they have one loss that didn't make much sense, maybe to Tennessee. And Tennessee's a top 20 team. But it's kind of that same little group of 5 to 7 with Maryland, Louisville, of course, since the Griner year when they knocked him off has been pretty good with their coach as well.
I mean, that top 6, because I'll even go 7. The top 7.
Maryland's good.
Louisville every year, Baylor every year, South Carolina every year, A&M pretty much every year, Stanford pretty much every year, UConn every year. I mean, NC State's the only one in that top 7 that's not like I could have filled this out from 5 years ago and had these same exact teams except for NC State pretty much.
Daniel makes a great point. I don't know what it is, but Charlie Collier, she has been just nothing against Baylor throughout her career basically. And again, on Saturday had nothing. And Daniel, even when they play them, they talk about her being the number 1 pick in the draft. Well, they better hope that nobody has a Baylor player on the other team.
She played 15 minutes the other night.
Yeah, they're in her head. And Daniel, I wonder if ESPN will mention Collier during women's games during the tournament. It's kind of like,
am I right? She played 15 minutes. She hardly.
Yeah, she was a non-factor.
Yeah, it's almost like it's just a vegetable when it comes to her playing against Baylor. All right, when we come back, we're loaded up. Got to get going. Ian Miyakawa will join us on the analytics of the tournament. Also today, we'll hear from John Gallagher, the head coach at Hartford. We need to hit that one right on time. And King McClure, 5:30, will join us. ESPN analyst, former Baylor guard. This is SicEm365 Radio. Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Loop 340, and of course, Highway 84, just a little east of where they are. Allen Samuels has been absolutely putting up some great features for their cars and values that you have for the month of March. Ram Truck Month right now in the month of March. Ram 2021, the new Ram 2021, 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab has values up to $7,000 or more, or 0% financing for 84 months. 7 years. Also, the Dodge Performance Days continue. 2020 Dodge Charger SXT total value, $6,170 or $3,000 combo cash plus 0% for 72 months. The 2020 Chrysler 300 Touring, values of $6,250 or 0% for 84 months. And the Pacifica Hybrid from Chrysler, total values of $7,000 off or 1% for 72 months. Now think about what we are doing in March. The NCAA tournaments, the drive for a championship, Baylor men and Baylor women, both with eyes on the big picture, but going game by game. Same thing with buying a car. You want a championship type level car? Allen Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat can help you out with that. And the Jeep Celebration, including the Latitude, the 2021 plus $6,000 total values of 0% for 84 months. And those are just some of the opportunities, options, deals, and discounts, and financing opportunities from Allen Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday
after 2 or all day Saturday and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house-cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasoning, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
He has had an incredible season, and boy, can they knock down threes. He does it again.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Tom Albers, staying in touch with you and your money through these difficult and changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
We will hear from Hartford head basketball coach John Gallagher and also King McClure. We're now joined by Evan Miyakawa. Evan Mia on .com on Twitter. He joins us. Analytics, that's his website. We've had him on before. Evan, thanks for your time. Now we're here, tournament time. Based on all of the numbers that you crunch and you have in front of you, could you tell where Baylor's region was and their opponents and where it ranks compared to the other 3 regions?
I think Baylor's path to a Final Four is a lot easier than it certainly could be. And I think the reason for that, in my opinion, is because the ceiling on other teams that could challenge them is just not as high. I think Baylor is obviously really well-rounded. They have so much depth. And there's just no teams in their region that I really see as being at their level, even when they're playing really, really good basketball. Now, certainly they could get some challenges from that group, but there are certainly other teams in other regions that could scare me more, but I don't see that being the case for Baylor.
Outside of Ohio State, who's obviously the second seed in their region, who are the teams though that you think have that ceiling that could get up there?
I think Wisconsin is an interesting one. Whether Baylor plays Wisconsin or North Carolina, I assume that they win their first game. Both are very intriguing to me. Certainly, UNC sticks out because of their big men, which is something that Baylor might potentially struggle with. Wisconsin has always looked better from an analytics perspective than what most people have seen. They have struggled against top-end competition, which is why I'm not really worried. I think my sleeper, though, in that group is Purdue. Purdue went down to the wire against Ohio State in the Big Ten tournament, and I think they're going to throw a lot of fight. So if Baylor plays Purdue in that Sweet 16 matchup, I think that would be a single-digit game for sure. Could potentially be a late-game situation where Baylor really has to squeak out a win there. But in terms of a team that can really take the top off, I'm not really particularly worried about any of those teams.
Evan, what do the numbers tell you early, if anything, about Hartford and just what spit out on their end as far as what Baylor's going to be facing in this first-round game?
Certainly the Hartford Riverhawks are a cool story, but I don't really see much of a talking point there. My model has Baylor with a 98.8% chance of winning that game. So, again, I'm not really expecting it to be close. Certainly a cool story there, but I think Baylor will handle them with ease.
So what is it about Texas Tech analytically, data-wise, that makes, because they seem like they're ranked higher than who their record is or where they are as a seed?
Yeah, the interesting thing with Texas Tech is that they have handled teams below them really, really well. So that when they've been a favorite in a game, whether by several points or a lot of points, they have always handled that really well. So that bodes well for them in their first matchup. But, they played a lot of good competition and they've lost a lot of close games. So in that category, they certainly fall short. But they're obviously an experienced group, a veteran group. And I think losing a lot of close games, you could play those over again. They might win them and people might see them a lot differently. So I think they're a little bit of a mystery in that sense. I think they have the ability to make a Sweet 16 run, an Elite 8 run with the experience they have playing in the Big 12, playing against teams like Baylor, obviously. But they've not been able to close out a lot of those games that they've been in, and so I think that hurts them a little bit.
Knowing that the simulator, which is really cool that you have on your site, is based on your models. I've clicked it a few times. I mean, obviously it likes Gonzaga, and why wouldn't it? But it seems to like Tennessee a little bit. Why is that?
Yeah, Tennessee is a team that I think has fallen off a lot of people's radar. Certainly they were the SEC favorite early in the season, but then they struggled a bit in the middle. But they have really kind of put it back together a bit recently. They're a top 20 team in my model, and I really think that just has to do partly with the region that they're in. And, you know, obviously they could potentially play Illinois in that Sweet 16 matchup. That's a tough one there. Oklahoma State, for whatever reason, fares a little bit worse in my model. I think they get a little bit more attention just based on the fact that they're led by Cade Cunningham, and obviously they just handed Baylor their second loss of the season. But Tennessee is a sneaky pick there. I don't think a lot of people are necessarily riding their bandwagon right now, but they could be a potential team that could provide trouble for Illinois and potentially get past them to the Elite Eight.
Evan, were there any things that stood out to you about the Big 12 teams, other Big 12 teams and their draws, kind of where they fit in the grand scheme of things? How do you see the Big 12 stacking up?
I think an interesting talking point that I saw a lot of people mention is that it was interesting that West Virginia got a better seed than Oklahoma State, because I think their resumes are flipped in that regard. Certainly they're close, but, you know, Oklahoma State with a 4 seed, West Virginia with a 3. You know, a lot of people see that being opposite. Now, I don't necessarily think that West Virginia has an easier path, because I think a matchup against San Diego State as a 6 seed is a sneaky one. I've been really high on the Aztecs all season, and I think they're overlooked a little bit. So I think that's the main talking point for me. Obviously, the Big 12 is an extremely well-rounded conference. You look at Kansas. I think a Kansas-USC matchup is really interesting. That one particularly sticks out to me because if Kansas is without David McCormack because of COVID issues, and they go up against Evan Mobley, who is a lottery pick for sure and one of the best big men in the country, that could potentially provide fits for them in the way they haven't had to deal with previously with McCormack on the court. So that one sticks out to me, but I would be, the Big 12, I'm sure, is going to have a good showing. There's just so many good teams in the bracket that one way or another, they're going to show out well.
How much did what Baylor dealt with the last couple of weeks? They had the nice win against West Virginia, and they had the wins back to back to back, also with Oklahoma State and Tech. But did their defensive numbers change much in your system the last, let's just say, 2 weeks?
Yes, absolutely. I think, they have dropped to 17th in defensive efficiency at my website, and I think that's similar to at other places as well. I really think that's a matter of just, COVID, lack of practice, getting your fitness back. The way that Baylor runs their defense, they switch everything, and that takes a lot of attention, but it also just takes a lot of sheer willpower. And, I think that fitness plays a huge part in that. So I'm not really shocked that their defense has dipped a little bit, but with a whole week of rest and, now playing with a bit of a chip on their shoulder after not winning their tournament, I think that, they'll, especially once they get a game or two under their belt, I think they'll be back to full health in that regard.
All right, Evan, listen, I'm not one of these people who falls for the big math conspiracy, but I've clicked your website like 25 times. It took me to get to one Florida State in the Final Four, which really troubles me as an FSU fan. What is the math not like about the Seminoles that won't let them get past, most of the times the Sweet 16 I'm watching here?
So I think the interesting thing is that Colorado is a very underappreciated team. They are 9th in my model in the country, which is better than Florida State. I think they're at 20th. So that's a little bit of an interesting one, and I don't think that's an opinion that a lot of people would share there. But I think Colorado's a tough matchup. Obviously, Michigan is also very formidable. If Florida State were to get to the Sweet 16, they're missing their best player, arguably, and Isaiah Livers, but they're still so well-rounded. They have so many good players on that team. So, and I also think UNC Greensboro is a team that could potentially give Florida State a battle there. So I don't think they necessarily got an easy draw there. Obviously, if they play Georgetown instead of Colorado, Georgetown is one of the hottest teams in the nation right now after winning the Big East tournament. So a lot of potential tough matchups there for Florida State.
Evan, how much, if at all, has Texas moved around in your rankings? I noticed they're ranked pretty highly in your updated rankings, and I know they've been playing good basketball as of late. Have they kind of been in that same spot, or have they moved up here as of late?
Definitely seen a lot of positive movement from them. I think they've been kind of up and down this whole season. I know they were early in the season playing so well, and then, dealing with, Shaka Smart being out with COVID and all those things, and, a bit of a season dip, which I think really every team in the Big 12 at one point or another has had a stretch where they've struggled, just given how good the conference is. but they're looking good. And I think, the fact that they beat Oklahoma State is certainly a big one in the conference championship game. They had an extra day of rest there, which certainly helped them. I could see Texas is an interesting team to me because they certainly don't have an easy path, whether they're playing BYU or Michigan State or UCLA. And then the winner of Alabama and likely Connecticut, those teams too are both so strong and playing really well recently. So Texas has got their work cut out for them, but they've been playing good basketball of late, and hopefully they'll keep that momentum going.
College Basketball Advanced Analytics, Evan Miyakawa. It's EVANMIYA.com, and you can go to the, as Paul mentioned, bracket simulation. You can run it, and it just spits out something new. Here's one with Kansas, of all people, winning it based on some things. And Houston, it's just different types, but Gonzaga, Baylor, a part of it as well. Evan, thank you very much. Keep updating it. Great stuff. We appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
Evan Miyakawa, College Basketball Analytics. Paul, you couldn't find a Florida State?
I clicked it. It took me like 25 clicks to get them into the Final Four, which leads me to believe that math does not like Florida State.
Maybe he put baseball in there.
Yeah, math doesn't like Florida State. But you know what? I went there. I know that we didn't like math either.
I like them. I like what I see. They're very athletic. They're a little bit erratic at times, as if they just disappear on you, and that can get you in trouble in a tournament. Now, when we come back, John Gallagher, he's the head coach at Hartford. This is their first ever appearance in the NCAA tournament. He's next on SicEm365 Radio. PettyClinicLowT.com. Dr. Kent Petty can help you become the high-performance man that you want to be. How does he do that? Well, first of all, you contact him. You contact PettyClinicLowT.com. You can do that by going online, PettyClinicLowT.com. Tell him Smokey sent you. They will then get you set up with blood work. He'll look at your blood levels, check your testosterone levels, along with your PSA and also cholesterol and other blood levels that you need to be careful with. He will check your testosterone levels, and if they're too low or lower than they need to be, he can put you in a program to increase your testosterone levels so you can be the man that you want to be. As you get older, things change. Not just gravity, but also what's inside of your body. Testosterone can drop, and he can help make sure it gets back to where it needs to be, but you have to make the call or contact PettyClinicLowT.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
During the President's Day event, Allen Samuels has special pricing on a new 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited with values up to $3,250 or 0% for 72 months, plus $1,000 in combo cash. Or a 2021 Jeep Cherokee. The new Latitude Plus has up to $6,000 in total values or 0% interest for 72 months and $1,250 in combo cash. Allen Samuels award-winning customer service. The best place to find your next SUV. Located at 201 West Loop 340. Allen Samuels is your friend in the car business. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
All right, here we go. This 5 o'clock hour continues. Former Baylor guard and ESPN analyst King McClure will join us in the next segment, but we are thrilled to have John Gallagher. He's the head basketball coach at Hartford. That's who Baylor opens up with on Friday afternoon at 2:30 up in Indianapolis. Coach Gallagher has been at Hartford since 2010. He was an assistant coach there as well. And I saw this note. Coach, first of all, thank you very, very much. Are you guys already in Indianapolis, or are you about to be? Where are you?
We actually won the title, and they had us fly out at 5 o'clock that night. So we won the game. We've been in Indianapolis since Saturday night, and we quarantined, and we've had 2 workouts already. So, we're here, and we're trying to get ready.
Well, it's a great story, and what you've done there is great. I saw Jeff Goodman put this up. You last year were in the Conference American East Championship game. You were supposed to be, and everything was shut down. How much resiliency did you see in your team to get back there and then this year finish it off?
You have to be tough. You ever see the movie Shawshank Redemption?
Oh, yeah.
So we're like Andy Dufresne going through the tunnel, right? Through all the dirty stuff, okay? And we had to work our way through it, and that's what it's like the last 11 years, but especially the last 2. 4 best years in school history. We kind of figured it out, as you would say, and on our way to figuring it out, we really thought we were going to win it last year. So this is almost like we feeling like this is back-to-back years for us.
You're down the stretch. You'd lost a couple games in a row, and then you got hot. What flipped the switch for you? Was it thinking about last year? What was the key?
I'm Irish, right? And my grandfather and father sometimes have to have confrontations. When you care about somebody but have confrontations, we call it in our program a carefrontation. So after the NJIT game, as I like to say, I had some serious carefrontations with people. And they had to feel the Irish in me, as I like to say. And they really responded, and now we're on the best year that we've had in 4 best years. And we're 15-6 in games at our level. We did open up with UConn and Villanova back-to-back. In the UConn game, we were in it. We could have won that game if we did a few things down 3 late in that game. But look, this is different. I get it. I thought we would have been a 15 seed, but we're not. No, we're a 16.
Is it true you had 472 text messages on your phone as you wrapped up that last game? I saw you say that, I guess, in the post game, 472?
It ended up being 698.
Oh, wow. Wow. Hey, you obviously got a lot of support, though. That's great.
You know, we have a neighborhood thing. So if you follow me on social media, we call it the neighborhood. And about 4 years ago, everyone, wanted to know why we weren't like UConn. And I just have to let everybody know we're never going to be UConn. We're the neighborhood school. We're not the state school. We're your neighborhood bar. We're your cop. We're your firefighter. We're the guy you root for. And in our town, we have a lot of ESPN guys too. Steve Levy is one of my buddies. And, I have Kevin Nagandi. I have a lot of guys that follow us, but we're not going to be the state school. That's just not who we are. We have to know who we are. We could be really good, though. There's a place for us in college basketball, but we can't think we're somebody that we're not.
How much work have you had to put into this, John? Because I know you were there as an assistant. You've been at LaSalle as well, but you've brought stability to a program that needed it. And obviously with his first ever trip, did you ever think, and when did you think you were ready? Was it last year and then this year that it was time to go to the next level?
4 years ago, look, we weren't winning enough. And I remember it was a Sunday night, March 21st, 2017. And I just played Sandman with Metallica for 2 hours. And, it's a true story. You could ask all the players. And we just were like, you know what? We might not be good, but we're going to be the toughest team. And we just did toughness drills. And it just built this, we ended up having 19 wins, 18 wins. We have 4 consecutive years of high major wins. But to answer your question, look, it took everything I had. I was naive when I got the job. Naive. I came in as a 33-year-old hotshot. I got all the answers. I'm the man. And guess what? Humility is a beautiful thing. But the beauty is you got to get really, really beat up. And, I can only tell you is we got put to our knees with the losing. And sleepless nights and not eating. And it takes everything. I mean, everything. And it takes everybody in the neighborhood, donors, former players. They did this. I didn't do anything. They helped me get it to this level. Then there's never been more excitement. We got 500 people coming in town, and I only got 350 tickets. So we got people coming into Indianapolis.
John Gallagher, the head coach at Hartford. Baylor opens with Hartford on Friday, 2:30 in the South Region on SicEm365 Radio.
How much have you gotten to scout Baylor so far?
Probably watched 7 games on my 8th now. Mm-hmm. You got Pepto-Bismol? You got any tongue for me? Can you guys send it up? Because let me tell you, woo! It's fascinating the job Scott Drew's done. I mean, just fascinating. First off, Balor's not a traditional powerhouse in basketball, okay? And he's built it. Baylor is a top 5 program now. I can only compare it to what Jim Calhoun did at UConn. And I think what's just missing is the national title. The respect I have for him, the respect I have for the program, it's immense. And, when you have the shooting that they do, they're shooting at 41%. It's an amazing number, and they're playing at an elite level. So, look, we have to play perfect basketball. Perfect.
Defensively, is that something that jumps out to you? They've had a little bit of struggle here as of late, but they've kind of hung their hat on defense all year long. What stands out to you from that aspect?
Well, they ice side ball screens. They ice a lot of their screens. So if you want to talk basketball, I can go through it. They down it, and then they have the athleticism to switch. Once you drive it, they can go 1 through 4 on a switch. How good are you with throwing pocket passes? How good are you on attacking that? Are we good at it? Do we work on it? Sure, we work on it every day. I have a package of ball screen attack we work on every day. I think every coach does. But you can't simulate the size, the athleticism. I've talked to so many different people that know Baylor basketball. And the greatest thing I heard, the greatest, is, John, these guys are all phenomenal kids. Mm-hmm. And they're like, the quote I got, because I'm from Philly, is, "This is Villanova, John. This is Villanova culture." And if you say this is Villanova culture, it doesn't get any better. So I can't speak more highly of a program. And I don't know, I'm not studying the Big 12. Obviously now I am. By the end of this game, I could tell you every team, because we're watching every game 3 or 4 times before we play them.
John, I know you've got other responsibilities as well. First of all, we really appreciate your time. Love hearing from you. Love your transparency as well.
I just got a text saying I love this Hartford coach. Yeah. So
no one had ever beaten a 1 seed until, what was it, Baltimore?
UMBC.
In your league.
Yeah, so I'm just you want me to gripe because I'm Irish and it's St. Patrick's Day coming up?
Sure.
Yeah. Let's gripe a little.
All right.
So the MAC, and I was hugging with, not hugging, we're not allowed to hug. I was pounding it out with my good friend, Coach Patino. But the MAC compared to the America East, I'm in shock. So you take the top 4 teams in our league, we can play anywhere, at any night, at any time. I'm just telling you that. If the high majors went to Vermont and played John Becker, who's one of the best coaches in America, mm-hmm. I'm letting everybody know they wouldn't win. It wouldn't happen. That's how good Vermont is. Vermont is as good as a program as there is in the country. UMBC and Ryan Odom, they beat Virginia. I have some news for you. It wasn't a fluke. UMBC and Ryan Odom, Will Brown took 5 teams to the NCAA tournament at Albany. This is a premier league, and we don't get enough respect. So I'm off my soapbox, and there it is.
Well, then my follow-up to you, and I know you got to go, is one.
I don't have to go. I can stay here all night.
Well, then we're going to keep you until Friday. So can you learn, can your players, can your program learn from where Baylor was when Scott Drew took over in 2003 under completely different circumstances, but as low as you could be on the totem pole for a lot of reasons, and what you're trying to create there?
So you're never going to get it to Final Four-esque here. But can you be a 5-time NCAA team? Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Can you do what Porter Moser did at Loyola? Porter is one of my best friends, okay? I talk to him every day. I don't know if you could do that because that's so elite. But can you knock on the door? Yeah, you could get multiple NCAA bids, and you got to dig in. And, I have one assistant coach right now that's just working on recruiting right now because we return every player except one, and that one is our best defender, Tracy Carter. And look, one of these broadcasters was on, and they were analyzing our team. He said Tracy might be the best defender in the NCAA tournament. He is. It's not he is. He is. He's a transfer from Marquette and LaSalle. He's top 10 in the nation in steals. He's an elite defender. And somebody asked me today, who's he going to guard out of the 3 guards? I said he's guarding all 3.
Oh, John, you're the best, man. We appreciate your time. You get goosebumps because this is why it's called March Madness. You never know. And good luck to you. We appreciate your story. I'm going to go home and listen to Sandman for 2 hours. And we really appreciate the access.
If you need to wake your soul up, play Sandman for 2 hours.
Hey, man, good luck, John. Thank you very much to you and your team.
Thanks for having me on, and I'm now a Baylor Bass fan because of you guys.
Oh, thank you very much. That's great. John Gallagher, Hartford men's basketball coach. And they have to – you play the game. Mm-hmm. like he mentioned a couple of years ago, right? Was it Virginia got stunned, and then of course the next year they won the national title. But
you can guarantee to lose if you don't try. But if you try, you at least give yourself a chance.
Carter is one of the, if not the elite defensive player in the tournament. Well, Baylor feels like they've got 2 or 3 of those, including Davion Mitchell and Mark Vidal.
It's Ballard.
Ballard. Okay. No, I'm talking about Carter, his player, Carter. Yeah,
I love that Philly accent.
That was great.
Love that Philly accent.
That was great.
Yeah.
And you have to have that attitude if you're him and you're that program. And you're right. I was going to ask him about being overshadowed by a Villanova. Didn't have to.
Yeah.
No,
right?
he knows their
UConn.
place.
Didn't have to. Yeah.
He knows their place, and he's going to get them to as high of a possible peak as they can possibly be, and he's well on his way to doing that, and they're going to be ready to play. You know, I know Baylor's heavy favorites, and Evan was like, hey, I'm not worried about, you know, an upset and all of that, but they still got to show up and play. And, you know, one of the things he said from there, he mentioned their shooting percentage. Well, Coach, you can start watching some of these recent games, that shooting percentage is going to go down by a whole lot, right? So there have been some weaknesses in the armor for Baylor here as of late that I'm sure he will see on some of those games he's watching that they'll try to take advantage of. So Baylor's going to have to make their free throws or have to make their outside shots at a much better clip than they were the other night, and, you know, get more consistent once again on defense. But you know, he knows what they need to do. It seems that Scott Drew, and we talked to Jerome Tang earlier, they know what they need to do. So you know, we'll see what happens come Friday, but should be fun. And you know, I kind of now wish that they weren't playing Baylor because I want to root for this guy. He's a cool guy.
Too. Yeah, me too. St. Joseph's, where he played, that's a tough as nails basketball team.
They almost went undefeated. They had that undefeated run through the regular season at time. Yeah,
he's done a hell of a job, and he had to come out of a lot of problems. He mentioned 4 years ago. That's when I think they were 9-23, and since that time, I'll read these off, and I know King is next. 19-14. 18-15, 18-15, and 15-8, and a lot of those losses, some of them are having to play the Power Fives because of money and because you have to get your level up. They're in I mean, that's good for him. Good stuff. Great to hear from him. Appreciate John Gallagher from Hartford. Coming up next, King McClure, SicEm365 Radio.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. He cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
Payments for qualified buyer 4,000 3.9% DTL. Extra CD for details. The 22-year anniversary sales event is going on now at Richard Carr. Make your refund or stimulus even bigger when you add savings like a 2019 Buick Encore for only $169 a month, a 2018 GMC Train for only $208 a month, a 2018 GMC Sierra for only $374 a month. 100% credit approval is always our goal. Get here now and save during the anniversary sales event going on now at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
Pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
3 left side, good. King McClure, there's his second made 3 of the afternoon.
The Sic'em365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
Hey, tomorrow, Len Elmore will join us. He's one of the great college basketball analysts. Also, later in the week, we'll have many others, but we have our own Jason King earlier. We just heard from Hartford head basketball coach John Gallagher. He was fantastic. And, of course, King McClure, former Baylor guard and ESPN analyst, is with us on SicEm365 Radio. Great to see you again. Great to have you on, King. So your thoughts when you saw Baylor's draw and their region, what were things that popped out to you?
I liked it a lot. I mean, that Hartford matchup, I think Hartford is a good team. I think Baylor will take care of business. The second round matchup between North Carolina and Wisconsin, I think North Carolina will win that. But that one kind of makes me, I'm not going to say nervous, but it should be interesting because a lot of times Baylor's interior is, I guess, the biggest question mark on the team. So when you look at North Carolina and they have 4 bigs, who can really, really play and are really talented and really big, really, really physical and skilled, that might be able to provide a challenge for Baylor. So I think that'll be a good test. Will they be able to beat Baylor? Probably not, but I think that'll be a good test, and it'll be a good game. And I think after that, you're really looking at, I'm not going to say a cakewalk, but a pretty nice route to the Final Four.
King, when you look at the last, we heard Jerome Tang say this earlier, and then Scott Drew said it yesterday. The last 14 days they played 6 games. They traveled. You didn't have any of the little fundamental practices where the practice is just about Baylor and not about the next team. How invaluable are these couple of days before they even really have to start thinking about Hartford?
Yeah, I mean, these days are huge just because it's really just more about self-reflection. I mean, coming back from COVID, a lot of people say that they aren't the same team. A lot of people think that they're not back, which is kind of crazy to me. Those people clearly haven't been watching. But a lot of people say that. So I think right now it's just the time to fix those corrections, those minor mistakes that you made after the COVID, when you came back from COVID. I think it's time to fix those, tweak those, get back in the lab, and just really just stay mentally sharp before your first game.
What did you take away from that performance against Oklahoma State, King?
I mean, Oklahoma State's a good team. Cunningham is that good. I'm not taking anything away from Baylor as far as the sense of should you be worried or blah, blah, blah. No, Cunningham is just good. Oklahoma State just beat them. That happens sometimes. So it's not, and I don't think it's anything that you should really look too deep into as far as Baylor having loopholes or Baylor not being as good as advertised. Oklahoma State was just better that day. And Cunningham, he's the #1 pick for a reason. They came out there, they battled, they fought hard. It is what it is. I mean, I don't think it's really, like a lot of people get concerned about that. I don't think you should be concerned at all. They just beat Baylor that day. They were just better that day.
King, what do you think's happened to Adam Flagler? And when you are a shooter, like a golfer who can't make a 4-foot putt, that you make them all, is he timid, or do you feel like he's tired, or do you feel like he's lost confidence?
I mean, it's just part of the game in a sense. I mean, you dig yourself into a hole. You go through slumps. I mean, that's what happens. That's all shooters, all good players have these. I mean, Adam Flagler is good enough to where he can bounce out of this. I mean, when I was at Baylor, I think I had a game entering my sophomore year. I think I went, before the Louisville game, I think I was 0 for like 20-something from the field or from 3 or 1 of the either from the field or from 3 going into the Louisville game. And then the Louisville game, Coach Drew told me right before the game, hey, I think this is your night. I was like, all right, cool, whatever. But then I went out there and it was my night, like literally. So all it takes is one game. He's just in a slump. I mean, it is what it is. He's good enough to where he'll be able to bounce out from it. Great players go through it. He'll bounce back, and I know he'll be ready for the tournament because this will be his first tournament. So I know he'll be ready. He'll bounce back. Does
Matthew Meyer need to change up the hairstyle, maybe to get some of that juice back he had against West Virginia?
I don't think he needs to change the hairstyle for that reason.
just fundamentally, it's wrong. He needs to get it done.
Just fundamentally, just get rid of the mullet and the whole. But kudos to him. If he wants to rock it, let my man rock it.
King, what was the build-up like for you when the Big 12 tournament would end and, getting ready for that next stage and knowing that, hey, this next loss is the last loss. Like, the season's over the next time we lose if we lose. Is there a flip of the switch mindset-wise? Kind of take me through getting ready for the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I mean, the NCAA tournament is something that you always dream of as a kid. So to realize that, hey, this dream of mine is about to become reality, I think that's the first thought that goes through your mind. The second thought is, hey, if we lose this game, we're done. Our season is over. So I think almost, like, not intentionally, but you almost pay more attention to little things like the scouting report, to what you eat, to what you're listening to, what you're watching, like how focused. You have a hyper focus just on this game because you do not want your season to end. I mean, I know you're supposed to have that same focus throughout the whole year, but when the NCAA tournament comes around, that focus is like times 20 because you really just don't want to lose. So I think that right there, just paying attention to the little details, those things really, really matter. And those things are something you just look more into, especially when you get ready for the tournament.
Do you feel the pressure? Do you feel like if you miss your first shot or two, does it multiply?
Man, I'm not going to lie to you. So once you get to the arena, I don't know how it's going to be this year because it's different. But actually, once you pull up to whatever city you're in, you automatically feel the pressure and you feel everything on you. Because as soon as you get off the plane, well, actually, when you get on the plane, it's like a NCAA tournament plane. So you see the tournament, everything, everywhere. You land, boom, it's more tournament stuff, NCAA tournament stuff. You're driving to your hotel, you seeing billboards at NCAA tournament. You get to the hotel and it's all decorated for your specific school. And that right there, you're like, oh my goodness. Then you see a bunch of people and people are going crazy. Like, you just feel the whole presence and the whole sense of the tournament when you're playing in the tournament. If you have a big fan base, when you pull up to the hotel, when you leave the hotel, your fans are right there cheering you on. The band is there. The cheerleaders are with you. So you just feel the whole postseason NCAA tournament aurora everywhere you go. So, yes, there is a sense of pressure because you realize, like, hey, this is big. Everybody's watching this. This is the time of the year where everybody watches this. We're on the main stage. You do feel that pressure.
King McClure, former Baylor guard and ESPN analyst, with us on SicEm365 Radio.
Is there ever kind of a sense of the, like, being able to be calm and enjoy it though?
Yeah, for sure. I think you definitely enjoy it, but in the back of your head, it's like, dang, I'm here to play a basketball game. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I got to go out there and perform because that's what we're here for. Like, yeah, you enjoy the fans cheering you on. You enjoy seeing your school colors. You enjoy everything about it. But ultimately, it comes down to, hey, could potentially be my last game. Like when you're in like a matchup, like a 3, what's that, 16? A 3-16 matchup?
14.
Oh, 3-14 matchup? Yeah. When you're in one of those type matchups, it's really not that much pressure because you're just like, hey, there's upsets, but we're way better than this team. We should come out victorious. But like my senior year, 8-9, we were playing Syracuse. We're like, all right, this team is just as good as us. So we have to be focused and keep our focus. Then we play Gonzaga, and it's like, oh my goodness, everybody has counted us out. Everybody's saying we're going to lose. So like we have to go out there and prove people wrong. So yeah, I mean, you get to enjoy it, but ultimately it comes down to just a basketball game, and you have to be ready and super sharp to get ready for that game.
Jared Butler, we asked this to Guillorme Tang. I don't know if you heard yet. If you had a chance to listen, you were probably doing your own work, but Coach Tang said that they have 2 great practices back to back. They had a chance to work on them, on us, as he said, and the fact that they didn't have to prepare for a team immediately because they have a little bit of time. How much do you think it meant to be able to stay in Kansas City, focus on them, and clear some of the things that they have to get better with?
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, I'm doing the NIT game on Wednesday. I was talking to the Toledo coach, and he pretty much said the same thing. The biggest thing that they need to improve is things that they can control. Like nothing that the other teams do. It does not matter what the other teams do, but there's certain things that you need to work on that you and your team can control, like energy, defensive strategy, getting better on defense, moving the ball, not letting it stick. Those things are very important because ultimately, yeah, the other teams might have their scheme, but if you can focus on your game plan and you can do what Baylor does or whatever that team does, whatever your team does, then you'll be more prepared, you'll be more ready for their scheme and for their game plan because then that's just a minor tweak. So ultimately, you got to be ready for yourself, and you got to basically continue to work on yourself. I mean, that's the biggest part of the game that a lot of people overlook.
You have an NIT game on Wednesday, is that correct? Ready to go?
I do. I got the first NIT game, Toledo and Richmond.
The Spiders. The Spiders. One year, Richmond upset Indiana, I believe. I think there was a year when Richmond pulled off the upset of Indiana back in the day. King, we love the insight, and we appreciate your knowledge. Thank you very much. Good luck with the broadcast you have, and good luck to your alma mater. Thanks for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That's King McClure. Man, he's always got that beautiful smile on his face and all the knowledge of college basketball. All right? I still can't get over John Gallagher. He's a fantastic segment. Can't wait to get that up in the forum section as well. Anything else? Break here?
No.
I just saw a really interesting note, college football-wise, and this has nothing to do with anything really, but it just makes your head spin. So Auburn has finally completed their assistant coaching staff for Brian Harsin, and they are paying their assistant coaching staff $6.84 million. Harsin, that is, has a $5 million contract, so you add that in, and Auburn's football coaching staff will amount to $11.84 million for the upcoming season, and they'll make that up in like 3 home games or whatever. So $11.8 million for this brand new Brian Harsin coaching staff. But, and this is from guy Tom Green, all in all, if you include the new coaching staff contracts plus all of the buyouts for Gus Malzahn and then his former staff, and you take into account like they'll pay that off over years, but just overall that total number to change from the Gus Malzahn staff to the Brian Harsin staff, $73.2 million.
See, they got to change, and we have
$73.2 million to change coaching staffs.
We have Jeremiah Dickey on later this week, and when I wrote the article about coach buyouts, I'll just tell you, I called him and had him like walk me through it, and some of the things that like I was learning about, going through like all the things that they go through with these, kind of blew my mind, and I asked him this question. I said, so who are you kind of negotiating against when you give these gigantic buyouts? And his question was, he goes, that's a question that you should ask in every negotiation because, okay, for example, with Matt Rule, they're obviously negotiating against the NFL.
Right.
Like that's who Baylor's kind of negotiating with. They're knowing they want to make sure that if, a kind of a half-ass NFL job came along like the Jets, that he wasn't going to regret staying financially. Mm-hmm. That he wasn't going to just go take a job to take a job. When you want a guy who's going to be in demand, if he decides to stay with you, he's not going to ever wonder, well, man, I could have made a lot more money.
Yeah.
You want him to be comfortable. Well, with some of these, like who are you giving? For example, Texas A&M gave Kevin Sumlin that extension like right away, this huge extension. Who are you negotiating against really? Did he have an offer? And look, if he took it, then he takes it. Mm-hmm. So all these schools are costing themselves money to prevent coaches from leaving because I know you want consistency, but for the most part, there's not that many better jobs out there that you're going to go to.
A&M was scared of USC coming along, you know, and in the end of the day, Arizona didn't even want him for more than a couple of years, The
problem, it's not the extensions, it's the old Jerry Jones philosophy of extending someone before you really, really need to. Now, you have to play the timing game based on popularity. You also better know the market. You better know the agents. You better know to play poker. And yes, sometimes you just got to let them go.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes.
Because the reason they're in demand is because you're winning. It means you have talent. Yeah, the coach also has a lot to do with it. Sometimes you have to just say, all right.
And I love Matt Rule, and I really enjoyed covering Art Browse's teams as well. But, there came a point for both those guys, like with the whole UT flirtation with Art and then with Rule in the NFL, where it was almost like, for me at least, like, yeah, this guy is going to probably guarantee that you win at least 8 games a year for the rest of the time that he's here, either one of them. And along the way, every couple of years, they'll probably be in the Big 12 title game or be playing for a Big 12 title. Like that, you could almost guarantee that with both those guys, the way they had their program set up. But with the flirtations, the way they were, it was almost like, fine, go. Like, we're not guaranteed to win national championships every year, so it's not really like anybody's worth it. Unless it's Saban or Urban or somebody or Dabo. Those are 3 of the guys that you could say, okay, yeah, let's pay whatever we have to possibly pay. But outside of that, man, it's just not worth the hassle and the headache, in my opinion. But, money talks. And
so wait a minute. You're talking about their current coaching staff at Auburn. So is it 11? Okay, 11 million. We got to get to Paul's deal. Go ahead.
So Auburn's paying its assistant coaching staff this season 6.8 plus the 5 for Harsin. So 11.8 for their staff this year. And then to account for all of the buyouts from the old staff, that brings it all the way to $73.2 million. Insanity. So they're paying $60 million in buyout money.
And somebody will write a check. And 5 or 6 guys will write a check and won't blink.
I think Gus Malzahn will do fantastic at USC.
Yeah, that's probably will.
I think he'll do really well there.
All right, time for Paul's 5 at 5:55.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55.
All right, look, it's March Madness. I think we should do some March Madness-themed top 5s this week. So this, suggested by Jack McKenzie, who does the graphics, last week. Top 5 March Madness upsets. And look, since Baylor's your number 1 seed, I think this is pretty relevant. They're always going to be, somebody's going to pick one in their bracket, where somebody's going to pick a 16 to beat a 1 because it did happen.
All right,
number 5. Number 11, George Mason over number 1 UConn in 2006. And this George Mason wound up going to the Final Four that year.
Yeah, great run.
They were the Cinderella story of all Cinderella stories. Number 4, and the team they beat is on this list twice in a row. Number 15, Lehigh over number 2 Duke in 2012. I saw a great CBS did a great promo about this with some stars from The Young and the Restless. That was hilarious. Where it was like, I have to tell you something. I had Duke winning it all in my bracket. I lied. I didn't pick Lehigh.
Well, I think everybody in the country celebrated that win because Duke's about as hated as it gets. They're very loved, but they also are very hated.
Yep.
And did they learn their lesson? No, because 2 years later, number 14, Mercer, over 3rd-seeded Duke.
I forgot all about Mercer.
Yeah.
I really did.
I was, I can't remember what city I was in. And you have to look where Baylor was in 2014, but I remember watching that on the screen that was close to me.
We might have been in Albuquerque. Was that 14? Was that the year?
No, we were Albuquerque in 12.
Okay.
And Lehigh beat them. So, all right, and number 2. Lob City, Florida Gulf Coast, 15th seed over number 2 Georgetown.
And they were fantastic.
Yeah, they were fun. Haven't heard about them since.
Their coach Andy Enfield is at USC now. So
yeah, that's part of their big part of the reason why.
From, married to a former actress.
Remember we all got up in arms about how, like, because his wife was really beautiful. People made like a big deal about that, and like he was a little rock star for about 48 hours or so.
I think they've been back in the tournament a couple times then as like a 16 seed.
Yeah.
They actually made a run in the college baseball playoffs a couple years ago. That's Florida Gulf Coast down in Fort Myers in my hometown. Number 1. And this one should have been obvious. We just talked about it with John Gallagher. Number 16, UMBC over number 1 Virginia in 2018. And then look, you don't talk about learning from your mistakes. Virginia's the defending champion because the next year they came back and won the thing. Yep. So those players in that 2018 team shook off the most embarrassing loss in NCAA tournament history and came back and won. So
yeah, there's moments which are different than the biggest upsets. What seed was Georgia State?
I think it was a 12-5, I want to say. I think it was a 12-5.
And that was also a much bigger deal around here.
Sure,
probably most, because like I'm sure there were people that actually predicted that. There was nobody that predicted UMBC over Virginia in 2018.
The only time a 16's beaten a 1.
Yeah, that busted so many brackets on day 1.
Yeah.
All right.
If we ever get Rico Gathers in the show, I will ask him, because he told me this story one time in the Cowboys locker room. We were sitting around and talking about it because I had just gotten back from the NCAA tournament. They had their like little mini camp thing, and I said, what happened to that Georgia State game? And he said, we felt really good. He goes, but you could feel like the tension around RJ. Like they got to a timeout. It was like one of those things where you could feel they were all thinking like, man, we're doing a great job on RJ Hunter. Like, he hadn't made anything. And then he didn't miss anything for 2.5 straight minutes. And he took about 18 shots.
Yeah, it was just including the game winner from like 40 feet. How about this, Jeff Goodman? Ted Valentine, John Higgins, Roger Ayers, among others, have been sent home from Indianapolis due to one positive test and contact tracing.
Well, I don't think most people
They went to dinner after hotel rooms were not ready.
I don't think most people know who they are. They're the referees for the NCAA tournament.
I think Baylor fans know John Higgins, right, Paul? Is he the one that's hated forever?
But TV Teddy.
Teddy's the one. He's the one. Is it Bob Knight that always was it Valentine or somebody else? I can't remember.
Valentine's the one who like turned his back on people. And
Well, that's not a good start for sure. So, wonder how they handle that. And some guy sitting at home right now just got a phone call like, "Hey, you want to referee the March Madness in Indianapolis here in a few days?"
Yeah. All right. Thanks to all of our guests, John Gallagher. Thanks to Jerome Tang. Thanks to King McClure. Thanks as well to Jason King. Appreciate everyone who's been a part of today's show. Thanks to Armstrong Sims. Happy birthday to Craig.
Thank you.
Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak. I'm David Smoak. Thank you for listening whenever you do and also watching right here on SicEm365 Radio. Good night. Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.
It's the President's Day event at Allen Samuels with deals on the 2020 Jeep Renegade Latitude with total values of $6,750 or 0% for 72 months plus $2,500 in combo cash. Shop AllenSamuelsDCJ.com. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.